If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell icon to get the latest updates.
Hello everyone, good morning. Right, so everyone, I hope what we have discussed yesterday, you have gone through probably the assessment tab. See, assessment tab is more of theoretical, you might have seen. Practical will start hopefully by today, but it's good to recap few information. And yesterday what we discussed more of like a types of Fiori apps and its architecture in details basically, right? So good to start with new topic today, or if you have any question from the previous session or any doubt we can discuss, or we'll start with new topic going to begins today is more of on your development side. So any question till yesterday's session about your architecture, understanding how it works, everything?
No.
All good? Okay. So so today's session it will going to be a start with your SAP UI5 journey. All right, after SAP UI Fiori and then next architecture what we have discussed, right? Every time I was talking about like SAP UI5, SAP UI5. What is SAP UI5 basically, right? It was actually a framework, right? Which I used to say, key, okay, it's a framework which is going to be developed, right? All the Fiori application on top of it, right? So let me share, and I will start with that. First, we will walk you through some, of course, a basic introduction, right? I cannot directly jump into your coding and programming. First, we'll let you know what is exactly this framework is, right? So we'll have some session on based on, I mean, understanding of your Fiori UI5 development, basic understanding what is it all about. Okay, what are the pattern it follows, right? And then we will try to jump in and start with your development understanding journey. One more thing, if you remember, I in the very first session I have shared few links. If you guys have gone there or not, I'm not sure, but let me try to show you some of them. If you see under the material section, right, you might have seen here shared by trainer important links. Okay, if anyone has gone through this, I have mentioned few of the link here. Okay, like especially for SAP UI5 SDK, right? This is the very important link is going to be now onwards, right? uh, and of course this is Fiori apps library which we keep discussing in both the session. Even today also we will try. And then we have something called JavaScript. Guys, remember, without JavaScript understanding, you will not be going to be a Fiori UI5 developer, right? So SAP UI5 is what? Basically, SAP UI5, you see, it's more of uh, focused on a JavaScript. It's a framework built with JavaScript HTML5 and having a UI library. Okay, so this helps a developer to create a enterprise based web application, right? Enterprise based means why I'm saying this, because it's more of focused on your business line, right? So what we discussed in your types of application, right? Remember tab transaction app we had, Fraxit we have, right? Analytical business and a smart business app we had, remember? So these types of apps are actually categorized based on for enterprise requirement, right? Transactional mean to be perform some action on your data, right? Like approval, rejection, creation, delete, update, these kind of activity you perform by transactional, right? Factset will what it does, it drill down your business object information, right? It has a many navigation, you can go deep down to any business object. So it's morely support your search. We have discussed here already search models and all yesterday, how you can navigate to various business objects. So it will just display your data information, right? And similarly analytical apps is meant for data visualization, right? With the power of SAP HANA access VDM model, which actually expose your whatever I've talked about yesterday about BDM model is all your more of CDS, right? Whatever we have discussed, the different types. So remember that views was there, reusable views, complex views, right? So all these views were meant to be referring to your CDS views basically. Okay, so these VDM model helps to analyze your data and put in the form of KPI or some visual graphical representation of data, right? So those things. So that's the reason it's called as an enterprise, web application based on the business needs we focus. Okay, not a normal web search or like publicly available to use by someone else. No, it's not like that. So SAP UI5, if somebody will tell you what is SAP UI5, so you can simply summarize that HTML SAP UI5 is a framework, right? Which is, you can say, it's a JavaScript based HTML5 framework. Why is we mention HTML5 here also? Because HTML5 we use the terminology in web application, right? So basically it's a JavaScript framework along with HTML5 and UI library. UI library, what is UI library stands for? UI means user interface, right? So UI library, the SAP UI5 has been defined and created by SAP itself. So all we will talk about those libraries, what are all these, right? So what this library does, it provides you n number of controls. What is this n number of control means? N number of control means you see the button we have, right? We see the tables we have a filter you have, right? We have a smart form, you have a different controls you see on the screen. This is nothing but associated to some particular library. Okay, that's why Java SAP UI5 you can summarize JavaScript framework along with UI library that helps to build enterprise best web application, which is also known as SAP Fiori. Okay, so SAP, if anything you are developing on SAP UI5, which actually you can consider it as a SAP Fiori apps as well. But if you are considering the SAP Fiori design guideline, if you remember, I have given you something here. You see, SAP Fiori design guidelines. So they have given some certain design principle, right? What you to use and when to use. Okay, what are the scenarios you need to use, right? When to use which control, what are the advantage of using that control, etc. Right? So this thing will help you to build your as per the design principle. You can build your SAP Fiori. Okay, we have, remember, we have given you two tabs for example. You one Fiori apps can be a purely SAP UI5 based Fiori app, which having a different template, like you can develop a scratch or a freestyle application, or you can develop some kind of master detail or like a split screen as application, worklist application with the SAP UI5. It is still going to be your Fiori apps. But now when SAP HANA came to the picture, when they have introduced as a, like when CDS was there now, so it is now SAP Fiori elements also. So SAP Fiori elements advantage is that the design pattern, the look and feel, the user interface, it's similar across any type of application. Okay, only the visual part may change based on, like, suppose if you are analytical apps, it has going to be some graphical representation, but there is a button, right? Remember I have shown you, if you switch back it will just showing you the graphical, then it will convert it back to table, something like that. But the basic fundamentals of your layout design will remain the same. That's the advantage of Fiori elements. So we will be covering the Fiori elements topic separately in the sense that first see you need to understand the fundamentals of basic. So be it Fiori elements, be it normal SAP Fiori, both are built on top of SAP UI5 library. Okay, it's the only difference is in both SAP UI5 you start with the scratch and freestyle, which you have start from the everything from the basic. Fiori elements is more of a template based or a smart control based development, but there also you need to have understanding of SAP UI5 controls, and it's how you can handle with the help of language JavaScript. Okay, XML is another language we use here in Vue, like Vue in the sense like what you are seeing in the screen. Let's say this is one of the screen, right? This is my heading, right? This is my some kind of logo. This is another logo, and this is the text, right? So these visualization, when it comes, you can put it on this screen with the help of XML file. Okay, so XML file we use in our SAP UI5 development. as a view render. Basically the view, whatever you want to see in the screen, those things you can put in that file, and it will come with JS. Also you can put it, but JS, if you do it, then it will be under runtime. Runtime means the way file will keep executing, it will keep adding the controls based on whatever certain logic you have written. Okay, so from today onwards, try to see, you need to understand, very much important is that what is JavaScript. SAP UI5 Fiori journey I will take you on, no problem. Okay, I will do in a development, all the application configuration, deployment, right? Be it or cloud foundry, BTP, all these things I will cover. Okay, no worries. But remember, JavaScript is something is comes as a separate topic with a separate language as for training. But definitely I will help you in basic understanding. Whenever I will writing some code, I will explain you what is about that. But to deep dive in, you should definitely refer some link which I already given you here also, like for basic. See, I have mentioned basic. There are a different good tutorials which will talk about very in large, vast the introduction of Fiori, sorry, this JavaScript and all, right? So those things is also possible, that for that you need to put some time. Okay, so but if you are a beginner, you start with this. Okay, this is very simple. This will talk about the what is the basic under what is the basic terminology in JavaScript, what is variable, right? How you can declare, how to use it. Of course you guys already using it in ABAP programming also, but ABAP programming being it uh, like it's more of oriented to oops and all, right, concept, or probably sorry, I cannot comment because I'm not also from ABAP background. But yeah, in JavaScript it's more it's not related to Java. First of all, don't be confused with Java and JavaScript. It's both are different language. So JavaScript, you should know how the variable declare happen, how you can call a function, right? How you can identify some events, right? How you can loop around a array, right? There are various method on array, how to use them, right? So just pick by pick, topic by topic also, if you go through it, it will help you to understand that. Okay, so it's very highly recommended. You should not only focus on the UI5 Fiori part, but to look into the JavaScript also. More of inside, it will be a self-learning. During your learning, if you have any doubt, you can ask me. It's welcome. I can explain you. During the development, I will definitely talk about some basic of it whenever I will code it accordingly. Okay, right? So okay, so understood, right? What is SAP UI5? So this is all about your framework, design, principle, guidelines, whatever has been set by SAP library. This is just to generate a web application. Okay, there are some tools which will be using it, like there is something called theme designer, right? And side panels, these are screen UI5 development tool. Okay, so this is generally used in your kind of Fiori Launchpad stuff. Like remember, if I talk about, I yesterday session only, I guess probably, which I have told you, like you can have maybe in the first session probably, I guess. Yeah, on the Launchpad side, you can change the logo, you can change the color of the Launchpad, and all these customization of your Launchpad as per your business requirement, or probably as per your organization. That's we handle is something called Fiori Launchpad Designer, right? This is you mentioned here. So all this terminology comes there, and this is development tools. Development tools is more of like I would say the tools where you develop your Fiori apps, which is web ID, full stack. We used to use in kind of when you have new version of SAP Cloud Platform. Now we have in SAP BTP Cloud Foundry, right, a space. So everyone, if you have gone to it, you might have seen that one of the subscription available under your ID will be business studio. Okay, so when you click this, okay, you will be going to you see your whatever information you have available. It will be going to the development tool. So I will come back here, no problem. So during that training, okay, so so once you enter there, then you will be seeing the different types of tools, libraries, how you can use it, and all these things. We will talk about that as well. Okay. So introduction to SAP UI5 sees the flow diagram, basically how this SAP UI5 flow works here. Okay, so if you see here on the top, we remember we have seen the architecture diagram, right? We had a backend system. If you remember, I have discussed about two types of gateway deployment, which was central hub and embedded system, right? So right now, I think this what we are talking about here is a central hub deployment. So here you see backend system we have where you keep all the business like since ERP, CRM, everything here. Okay, means business suite what you keep it here, and this is on top of like, or you can say on the middle layer, what you will see is more of your gateway, SAP GateNet, your gateway where you manage your auditor services. And if it was if they see our, I think the topic is more of Fiori UI5 development on your BTP Cloud Foundry side. So our deployment is going to happen on your BTP Cloud Foundry side, not in our gateway server. Okay. So, but yeah, I mean, just for your understanding purpose, we can actually deploy your Fiori apps on your gateway. So if by referring your gateway, this will be one of the NetWeaver portal or NetWeaver gateway. There you can actually going to deploy your application here. All right. And then these are the type like SAP UI5, Dimpro, we have discussed GUI and all these things, right? This designer is referring to your again Fiori Launchpad, and these are the various tools. Technology stands for your different libraries. What SAP provides, right? Tools is again development tools, and the clients also refers for your development side. Okay. Now, one more thing which is very important in terms of SAP UI5, which is called MVC. Okay, remember anybody what is called MVC? If you have heard before, right? If it's good if you know that. So MVC is more of, it's a very important feature in SAP UI5, which refers to your kind of model, view, and controller concept. Okay, so what I will go into details into that part, but before I will jump into, I will just show you one more thing which I have shown you. I mean, I have shared already, and I think today also we discuss about this, right? So when you go inside this SAP UI5 SDK, you will see here, okay, this is your documentation. This is, you can say, SAP UI5 Bible. Okay, this is the SDK website provided by SAP, and every information about your SAP UI5 Fiori development is present here. But yes, it's not like you are just by referring you can you can code, because of course coding and development comes as per your basic understanding of your framework and the business requirement, but it will definitely give you the complete information about a particular control, a particular library, a particular object which we are going to use in SAP UI5 development. So it's highly recommended. Please go to this SDK and check what are the things you can learn from here. It's a lot of things. Don't worry, if you keep expanding, it has a lot of things. Okay, under this you can see different here, like again, okay, like that. So you don't have to actually go through all of them. What is required here is mostly is you can start from get started. You can see various topic are there, subtopics are there, right? Then you have essential topic. Then you have here again, you remember this theming, this is what I was talking about, like that, right? And then you have developing apps, right? Development, what are the things you can do, the extensibility, coding issue, avoid all this. So it has a lot of many information. If anyone, if you sincerely, if you go to this information here, trust me, you will be very good. You will be, I mean, I would say, a good development SAP UI5 and Fiori. It has a lot of and very good information. This is where we also refer. It's not like only for the beginner, right? We also refer, right? We refer if and what new controls they have introduced. Okay, of course, after understanding of your essential body, how you know the development. Once you have those understanding, then still you can after upgrade. You see here every time they what's new in SAP UI5. Okay, if you see here the current version is 1.18. okay, if you talk about this versioning, it started with 1.38 or the below version 1.626, something like that, right? So now you see the version is 1.118. It has gone, it has came so long. Okay, So this information will tell you what's new in the new version, okay, and what has been modified in SAP previous version, where or and also remaining like what version we had earlier. So those previous version they will also talk about, like if there is any any bug which might have fixed here, or it may be like if there is any issue with the licensing content wise, if anything has been deprecated, right? So they list out, okay, that's a great thing here, they list out, okay. So if any of the versioning, if something is getting removed or no longer supported, they will update everything here. For example, let's say this is the first version. If I go inside, it will talk about, okay, what has been upgraded, right, from 1.36 version upgrade to 1.38 now, okay. Now what are the change has happened, okay, what is going to support, what's not going to be support, right? All these things they will be mentioning, okay. Whatever information they have modified, they will release under this section. So this is also helpful very much, because when you are developing it, you might be using some deprecated control which is no longer supported. So this is where the place you need to look at, okay. Then there another section called API reference here, okay. API reference is like, remember I was talking about, if you see in our slide, we were talking about, right, the library, right? Different, what is SAP UI5 is more of, like I told you, UI based library also it has, right? So whatever library you see, it has various control into it, right? So all these controls having certain properties, right? So if you see about the key feature, what is talk about here, extensibility of concept, right? So like extensibility stands for you are extending your SAP UI5 Fiori application, right? So to extend that, you need to have a knowledge on which library you are going to use for a particular extension. If you are extension in the sense which control you're going to use it, so that control belongs to which library, and that library, what are the things it present, right? So you can find it here. Like for example, I'm going to extend my application list screen. I have a, let's say a smart table, okay, with smart table I have a UI table, and then I want to put some of the button, right? Let's say I just very basic example, I want to take a some button. So I will search here BUTTON. Okay, if you hit enter, you will see different library here. See here, this is something called as NSF library, okay. So this semantic button is a different type, okay. This is and comes under, see here, it's given, right, extends also, right, sap.m.semantic. So this is the I would say module name, okay, the library reference you can say. So sap.m.semantic button. So then this is something different type of button, but same library, but this is different library now. See, this is a M library, okay. See, sap.m.button. So basically this m.but library is a separate one having a different feature. This sap.m.semantic library having a different feature, having a different control, right? So you should know it what you are going to do it. Now you have something called UI library, right? UI library having a different, like you have accent button, right? The accent buttons come different. It's the code library, sap.ui.code.element something. So you are going to actually whatever module you are referring to extend those particular elements or control, I would say, like SAP UI suite, UI common, right? What are the extent it can supports. So all this information is available, and then you have to go through it, what is suited for your requirement, whether you have to put normal button or menu button, or you have to put semantic button, right? Semantic button having a different properties you can see, button having a different set of property you can see, okay. Few property might be common, that's the definitely like suppose example enabled, something like that, right? It's like true false kind of property can be same. Similar way, you can have menu button, right? So it having again a different property what you can see, okay. So like that. So that's why this is in this understanding I've been covering you parallelly. So during any of the discussion, any place, if you feel any confusion, please ask the question, because it's going to be a large discussion going forward from today, and it will be, you are going to discuss on Fiori UI5 development for most number of days. So it's not will be possible every time to go back and discuss the same object. So I am trying to even paste down a little bit, and parallelly I'm moving and explaining you those stuff in SDK as well as our normal discussion. So feel free to ask any question if you feel that. Okay. Now, ability to create complex UI pattern and predefined layout, right? So remember layout, I was talking about complex UI. UI stands for user interface, right? Complex UI pattern means like the design of UI, basically. Okay, the layout basically it's talking about key how you want to design and predefine your layout. If you remember, if I have we discuss about this again. Let me open one more slide for SDK and let's go to demo apps. Okay, and if you see in this section which we talk about few of the application, for example, let's say we had okay, shopping cart. Okay, let's say. Okay, so if you see shopping cart application, see the layout, how it has been built up, right? If you see left hand side, they have accessories category. Under the categories they have a different products available and they are showing the information. So this layout is depends on your business requirement. The business needs are that okay, I need a screen where the left side I need to see a list of object or the item, whatever product available. If you user clicks, then I will be able to see that information in little bit details, the pricing, everything, all that information I should be able to add into a cart, right? So like that. So for example, this is discontinued, so see I'm not able, this is the validation, okay, like that. So if I have this is available, so I should be able to move it into a cart, right? Like that. So this is where you designing your layout as per your business requirement. So you are capable, your SAP UI5 is capable of designing complex UI. Complex UI means like the any layout as per your business need, it is able to like see design, like it has different icons on the top, you have like cart program like lists and detailed part here, or this other. Let's see some other example. Let's say I have now, let's say browse order, right? So in the browse order, you see this is a different section, right? So similarly, see how it has been expanded the different. First initially it has been loaded with the full screen, but when I clicked on any of the item, it just started showing. So see, this is little bit different, that design, right? Like that. So any design you wish to, you can, of course you can design it. So this design comes again with the different Fiori elements level, sorry, not Fiori elements, so like Fiori SAP UI5 library is responsible for that. Like these are the view, these are the layout, these all comes and helps you to design a particular screen. Okay, for example, let's say if I now take about you something, let's see this is to the up or not. Okay, or if it's not up, then anyway I can show you here, right? Which we talk about like smart table, right? So if you remember, we have given you this example many times here, right? So this is one of the most common layout nowadays. If enterprise having S/4HANA CDS, of course if you have S/4HANA, then definitely use it. The power of S/4HANA is one of the thing is CDS modeling, right? So CDS modeling, if you are using it, then it's best to go with the SAP Fiori elements design pattern. And nevertheless, you can either use SAP Fiori elements template, or you can use just a smart control and build a Fiori elements type freestyle Fiori apps, right? So those all will cover. So this is how, see, you this will help you to design your layout, controls, everything as per the needs of your application. All right. So this is what this SAP UI5 is capable of. Okay, MVC pattern, which we are talking about here. So see, model, view, and controller, right? So model, view, controller, what is all about? Okay, so model is okay. So in ABAP programming also, right? You defines your model, remember? And this model, data modeling you do and perform some, business, whatever logic you might be writing there. So similar way in SAP UI5, you have three layers here. One is model, one is view, one is controller. Okay, now see, what is that? Okay, so we already have a flow diagram which will show you about model, view, controller, I think here. Okay, so this model, view, controller MVC is this actually. Okay, so now if you see here, this model basically referring to our data model. Okay, data model is what, like where you are interacting with your data, business data. Okay? This model, we have a different type. Maybe I will talk about again, uh, maybe in the next sessions, or probably today if I have time. I will just referring right now. Model means I can have a data model, right? So let's say example of data model. We do have a different other models also, like local model, which is also called JSON model. So let's focus on right now data model. So OData model is what is more of like interacting with your business data. All right. So whatever you modification you do on your data model, okay, you get the data, you modify some data, okay, you delete or perform any action. That is your model logic. So this is going to be happen on your data model without anything affecting to your view. View means what? What you see here. This is your view. What I'm selling here, this is your view file. Okay, so view, when I'm saying the view representation of your UI. Okay, there is a view file also that I will show you later. And then you have something called controller, right? So controller, so M for model, V for view means the UI, and this deals with your data. View deals with your layout and how you see the UI screen. Controller means to how you are going to write your business logic, right? So a controller means JS file. Okay, there will be a controller file which will ends with your .js notation, which will tell you about key. This is about your controller file. So anything logic you're writing, okay, let's say I click on a certain button, right? For example, I click on this list item, what will happen? So when I clicking this logic retained under your controller file. Okay, under your whatever I have is a controller file. Now, whatever data you see here right now in the left side, or maybe let's say example of this, right? So this data, whatever you see, is actually communicating with your model. Okay, so there's a one event. So when I'm clicking it, the event and this display logic is retained in your controller. The data, what you are making it is available in your data model. And what data information you see, like icon here, right? This layout, you see these are the lining, this is the header section, right? And this is your another object section here. This is the table section. So this layout design is referring your view part. Okay, so view is always just in SAP UI5. We have a different types of view like JS view also we have, but I told you this all view is more, if you are writing with JS, it will be a runtime view. That is, now it's not so much recommended. We generally use XML view. Okay, what is that XML view? Means you write, you put your controls, like you want to put this table, you want to put this information, and let's say you are designing this layout screen, right? So every layout information you put in a file which is .xml file. So .xml file will tell you about your view, whatever you have to put that control. Each and every control, what you see, this button is icon tab, right? What is the icon tab? What this is your dynamic page layout. Okay, so dynamic page layout definition, I mean declaration you put there. But I will give you definitely go into details how it works, but I'm just putting the things how the things are mentioned in your XML file. Okay, so this now, so if I'm modifying, let's say this is my shopping cart. Okay, I went inside the accessories. This is my thing, right? I am now, let's say I am putting this available add to cart. Okay, so when I'm doing this add to cart, this changes I made in my controller event, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't affected anything in my view file. My view is still looks the same. Nothing got changed until this count probably might have been increased here. That is, I mean, just a count. I mean, what I'm saying, it doesn't break your view. Means this action performed in your controller file is actually not affecting your view file. Okay. Similar way, if this button, like if I'm putting this is a button, this is also coming from the view file, right? This is this button present in a view file. Though I have put the event, right? Even if I change this name here, add to cart, go simply add. Okay, but my event of this button will still remain the same. It will not even change anything in the controller. I am just changing the name in the view file, right? So what you see here now in this part, whatever I am modifying. Now see data model, what I see here when I'm clicking this, the information is keep changing, right? So on this event, what is happening? We are overriding the previous data model, right? Or when I'm writing this here, I'm checking this here, and I'm performing any checkout, something proceed or something, right? So actually what I'm doing it, I am performing some action on my data model also, right? Out of 100, I have selected three data, right? So this data is also not going to affect my any of the view, right? Any of the controller. So if you see there, these three P's are actually working independently without affecting their, I mean, basically, independent stands for like they are not affecting each other. They are affecting in the sense of functionality. Okay, what I mean to say is that model, view, controller in this piece are interrelated to each other. If you see that, if you see this arrow, right, it indicates that they are very much linked to each other, but they, you can modify them independently without touching this piece. So if I'm modifying here in any of the button layout, I'm changing, it's not going to change my model data model, right? If I'm changing my data model, some data I'm removing and deleting, it is not going to change anything my controller file. It's not going to change my view either, right? So these are independent, I would say interlink independent fundamentals where they can work all together without affecting each other. They will affect definitely in terms of functionality which you are writing in your control logic, you are putting in your UI, and what you manipulate in your data model. That functionality, why it will, of course, it's working all together. That arrow indicates the same, but at the same time it is saying you keep your model data model can, things in one model, you write the logic in controller, you put your UI thing in view file. So separately, but working all together, right? This is a good topic here, MBC. So I
Yeah,
hope you
Manu.
understood. Yeah,
Uh,
tell me.
yeah, Manu, one small question. If we, look on this MVC model,
Yeah.
so what I understand is that we do the coding in the controller file,
Mhm.
which gets reflected on the view, and the data it gets picks up from the model part, right?
Uh,
Either
it's not going to controller logic. We're not going to affect your view. Controller logic is going to interact with your view view controls. Okay. So, and this view data, whatever you see, it's linked to your data model. All right.
Okay.
So if
So
you are doing,
the UI elements will be placing on the view, or
yes,
maybe on designing part will be designing on the view,
yes, very good.
and the beneath logic will be lying on the controller file, wherein the view will talk to the controller file based on
Yes,
the
for any
user
interaction.
interactions,
Yes, very
and the data gets picks up from the OData services or the model, whatever model we have.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, very
Okay.
good. Yeah, right. So for example, the iska, if I will show you the coding. Okay, so every information they have some certain coding that they are provided. If you expand this, you will see that file. So let me show you how this files are there. Okay, so this is your view file. You see this declaration, what you see here, this declaration are responsible to bring your smart filter bar, what you see on the top. Okay, and then this you see a smart table which is responsible to bring this smart table, and of type you see this is the grid table. So this is the whatever table type they have defined as a table. All right, there are different properties which we'll talk about. What does that mean? It's a use Excel to export, means they give the functionality of export, right? All these things. So this is the very high level I'm just talking about right now. So this is how a view file looks. This is the XML, ends with XML notation. You define MC, remember this is MVC. This indicate a model view controller. So everything having a view, start with view, and every view having attached to its controller file. You see this is the controller here. So you will find here the controller name as a smart table. You see this is the controller name. So if you go to the controller, in this controller file, it was referring, you are extending your, again, like you are referring to your smart table control, which is getting referred by view. So basically this view is going to communicate with this file, and then whatever logic, right? Let's say I am exporting my Excel sheet, right? What will happen on my export? So see, this is a logic is retained in your controller file. Does it making any change if I am clicking on this? This view, does it change anything? No, right? It's still the same. What happened? The logic which I have executed is a part of controller. So what MVC states that you modify here. Let's say, for example, if anything which I am going to modify, okay, for example, this is 001, right? Let's say I'm making it 002. All right, you see it got 002. So see, the moment I change it 002, you see now my data model doesn't have anything related to 002 code. So I didn't have any data. So see, my changes to this small view code doesn't affected anything in the controller logic, doesn't affected anything in my data model is still simply it doesn't have any data, it doesn't return anything, right? So I am just now changing back to the one. So see, it got the data back. So it is very much interacting. MVC, model, view, controller, both are interacting with each other. So don't be confused. No, they are interacting with each other very, I would say, parallelly. But they are, whatever you do coding or modification, it's bound to their own space. So I'm modifying here, it is going to be meant to be view file. If I'm writing any logic to on the view, for example, clicking on button, removing this, anything, any action you do, writing here doesn't going to change your layout. So that's the meaning, like they are working together, but they are their code piece or logic piece are independent to each other. Okay, so this is something, this is your data model. I mean, this is mock server. Just, I mean, okay, so what is mock server here is that if you, every time you don't have, let's say you don't have available your data model available, you don't have data service connectivity, you don't have probably, you know, any data connectivity from a database, then something SAP UI5 provide mock server. Okay, so mock server mein kya hai? You have to, you can create your own data table or own data models, right? So this is where it will be used here. So just for example, if you are referring a mock server, so mock server will basically, this will going to give you a data set of data which you can, you know, apply on your local development. Not heavily recommended, but it's good if you know it, and it will may help you if you are going with some kind of normal POC or stuff or something you want to perform. Okay, so like that. So like simply if you have just, okay, we will talk about, let's not get confused here. And you got, see, you see here model is given mentioned here. Remember, see here, this is what they are referring here, model. So this is mock server or get service URL. Okay, so this is the mock. So I told you this mock server acts as a local database. Okay, so they are, what they are doing it, they are creating a OData model with this mock server here, whatever local database they have created. So this data model is actually, now they have the data. Okay, and this data has been set to this view. To this view means this is that, that's why we are able to see. So if I am modifying anything on this data model, whatever data it has, so it doesn't have any it rather it has some kind of link is given. This is basically, this metadata file is linked to various file here, if you see listed out, right? So they all are linked to SAP. I mean, basically whatever they have provided the server to get the data. So I can, but let's say I have listed out some JSON data here, let's say, right? Name, first name, last name, mobile number, CT, all these things, stuff. If you would have mentioned, if I would remove anything here, similar information will come here. If I remove anything data, it will come here removed one. So what does it mean is that I am modifying on my data, but it's not going to change anything in my controller behavior, or not neither my data in the view file. So that's the reason you perform whatever activity in a model side, that model will be taken care independently. Controller, whatever logic you write will executed by controller file. Whatever you write in the view file will be display and something. So they are interlinked very much to each other. They will immediately affect if you are making any changes, but they are, it doesn't mean that it's going to if you are changing anything here, it's going to break this, or if you're making this, break this. No, logic may be break, your logic might be break, but it's not going to break the structure or something whatever you have implemented. Hope this clears, right, your MVC concept, what you understood from this. Remember anything, anyone, any heavy question?
No, Manu, I'm good on this. Thank you.
Very good. One more thing, if you want to deep dive more in this, then I would definitely suggest here. For example, if you go here, right, you will be having information about your MBC. Okay, control here. You will see here. So what about views here, right? So views will talk about your how the view you can declare. This is the controller which will talk about how you can write. So step by step how you can write your controller file, right? Modules is this is not a models, by the way. Modules is different thing. Like I mean it's more referred to some kind of probably a library. Okay, kind of that you can understood. Like see sap.m.message to is a kind of library which they are referring as a module. Okay, now this is model which I was talking about. So this is JSON model. Yes, this is a local data model. Similar way we have a OData model. Likewise, we have a JSON model. So JSON model is like local data. For example, just see this is your this is your data of JSON type. Okay, so this JSON type data is uh, local data. It's not coming from your server, so you can design the entire things if you have the data model the way it has described here. If you maintain in a one of the file or any of the link whatever reference you are creating, if you maintain such kind of JSON file, it's very simple. Okay, JSON file is very, I mean if I will how you can declare it, it's very simple. Like I will JSON. So that's why I'm saying, so SAP UI5 actually, if you know, it has a combination of 4 or 5 languages. So it has JS, of course, it has XML. You had seen this file, right? That .xml. Then it has JSON. JSON is again very much useful. Generally, is used in data modeling part. Okay. Then it has little bit some we say jQuery. Okay, that we generally use for some of the function calling or some standard capability of jQuery in that sense. Then we have HTML5, very much legit. Then we have CSS. CSS will come to the picture when you want to override the colors of any control. For example, let's say this is my table, right? I want to change this color from this maybe not go from blue to, let's say, black, or some other different color. Nevertheless, SAP already has provided their CSS library also. Remember that, right? It means it has their own set of coloring provided. So apart from this coloring, if you don't want to use their standard colors, they provide generally, they provide green, they provide red, they provide yellow, they provide blue, and yeah, I think, and then no color means they, I think, have a 5 colors. They 5 to 6 color they provide actually. Let's say out of these 5 standard color, you still don't want that. You need something different, right? Something different set of colors you want. In that scenario, yes, you can override the colors also here by, I mean, there are way how you can do. I will maybe in the session during the discussion I can show you. So those part will be coming here. That is the CSS part. So SAP UI5 is not meant to be restricted to a particular language, but it has many other few more others. I would not say many, but few more basic usability like JSON we had, right? jQuery, we have some of them. Majorly, of course, JavaScript. That is the major requirement. And then after that, XML file, how you to write, that is you should know. Okay, like that. Okay, so they will talk about different things. Okay, you can basically talk about. So this is very good, important. I would say, kind of tutorial. It has been mentioned. You can definitely, I will recommend, go there and check. See, this is the MPC pattern which I was talking about just now here. See here, the view is responsible for the UI and rendering the UI. This is the meaning of that. Okay, then you had something called model, the application data, which I was talking about here. If you remember that mock server or any data, you define it. Like for example, whatever data you see, whatever data behavior you define, that is your model. You manage the data to display, right? And controller to react to the view events. Like if you click on something, like what will happen, that is your basic controller events, means some events you are going to interact with your view and of course data model, right? You may click on some button here on the view section and you are trying to modify some data in the model. So that's of course, but nevertheless, they all are segregated by each other. They all are working independently, but they are affecting each other in the way of functionality. Okay, remember like that. Okay. So now the purpose of binding in UI. Okay, so this is again I will talk about data binding. So let's not go there right now. But you understood, right? Everyone, hope you understood that MPC pattern. You also want to see a view and controller offers 1:1 relationship. Okay, remember I told you, right? Best, yes, because whatever you put in your view, it's going to be represent in the UI, and if it's present in the UI, then definitely a controller has to be retained for that particular piece of your anything you want to interact. Let's say I put some button here, then I have to, if I'm clicking here, I have to put some logic. So if if I have some button here, I have to put some logic in the controller. If there is no logic in the controller, then no point of writing. There's no point of keeping these buttons here, right? So if any element you are putting in the view file which is clickable, then it has to be present in your JavaScript file also to handle the events. If it's, that's why the region is mentioned 1:1 ratio relationship. Okay, so if it's present, you have to have in a controller. If it's not present, then no problem. All right. Yeah. So this is again in details. We have models, view, controller. We will discuss. Yeah. But till now, if anyone having any discussion, any question, it's good to go.
How can we decide, Manu? How can we decide whether to go for OData model or JSON model?
It's very simple. OData model, generally you go, see, OData model is known as a server side model. Okay. So let's say you want to build a application, okay, which is going to interact with your large set of data. And you know that this OData service, what you has been built by a ABAP or I mean any person in the backend side, who is going to give you the data in terms of some based on some filter value. All right. And your application requirement is to directly interact with the server. You don't want to manipulate anything in your controller in the local file. Rather, you just want to get the data, modify and directly send back to the server. So if you want to interact with your server directly, okay, in that case, you choose OData model binding directly. Okay. But for example, just for take this example. Okay, here. So this is, I'm coming here for the OData model. All right. For example, whatever OData services I'm calling here, I'm getting certain set of data. Okay. So let's say I'm going to modify something, and let's say I will edit, and I will say, let's say something I change here. Okay, and I will save it. Okay, I will there will be some save button. Okay, so maybe something, so it would has been saved something. Let's say there's a button is not here. Okay, yeah, got saved. Okay, so you are interacting now directly with your OData service, so it's getting the data, updating the data to your server directly now. But for example, let's say I have one of the field here. Okay, let's say this is my fiscal year, or let's say I will add some filter here. Let's say here currency. Okay, for example, let's say this currency, it could be many type, right? You have euro, you have dollar, right? You have rupees and real and many other different types of currency we have available, right? But let's say due to some reason, maybe you are not getting from your from database, it's not maintained. Then you create a JSON model. You create a JSON model and attach to this control. So it will be displaying in your as a drop down, or I mean, we will talk about or a select here. It will come as a select, or it could be as a dialog. So that will be giving you something which is locally present. This is not available in your database, but you are you put that your model in your local file, and based on that data, which is you are going to perform some action. Let's say currency dollar pay or USD color pay, you want to filter out something. Okay, so it's again high level scenario which I'm just talking about. You, let's say you are not maintaining some particular information in your server side, but you want to have that option in your UI, then you could go by local data model. Another use case, let's say you have the OData model server already, right? But now you don't want the data to be displayed like this. Okay, you want to modify something. Let's say you don't want to see the information like in the form of 00. You don't want to see fiscal year, let's say in the form, okay, maybe year is fine. Customer, let's say you don't want to see in the form of this part you don't want, right? You want to trim it out. And let's say you want to put some more full form, okay, or anything. You want to modify some major information, or you want to, let's say, restrict only some form of data, right? Then what you can do is you get the data from your OData server, OData service, and then whatever data you have, you received, you modify that and keep it in a local JSON model, right? And then you modify everything on top of that JSON model. So basically, whenever you do any modification, it's not going to uh, affect your server data model until unless you are not sending them back. Okay, so this concept of using OData model and JSON model, if I simplify, okay, it's very simple. If you want to directly use your server data model interaction with the server instead of any middle of it, anything where you directly communicate with server, get data, update data, delete data directly, you don't want anything interference in between, then you definitely go for OData model. But if you want to do something locally, okay, locally, so you can either create a data model between, so in your local file, just for example, I told, this is again a very normal example which I told you. Let's say something which is not present in your database, you're not stored, you will not be getting those value as a value help. In that scenario, you create a data model locally with the help of JSON, and that will be present in your application only. That will not be going to present in your backend, but it will help you to build a application as still in the form of data. Okay, so that is the major part. You can say that OData modeling is more of like a server side model. JSON is more of your local data model. Hope it clarifies your doubt.
Yes, Manu. So we go for OData modeling just in case we need the as-is data from the database, any database which we are using, and wherein JSON is used for a local kind of
Local data.
listing. Maybe, here we have talked about value help and all. But can OData and JSON go hand in hand? As you said that we can modify by picking the as-is data from OData services, and
Yeah.
need we can modify it using the JSON modeling, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
depends. So just for example, I told you na ki dekho, you need to, let's say you need to perform various action locally. I mean, you don't mean to change in your directly back to your server directly. Instead, you want to modify, you want to validate something, and okay, you need to perform some data analysis, all these things. Then it's good to
So we are
have
not sending responses back to the OData service then in that case, right?
JSON may we will, that's what I'm saying. When you need, then you send. The same
Okay.
data JSON model say, see JSON model how you will perform. Let's say, see 54 data I got from OData, right? This 54 OData model I create a reference and kept inside a JSON model. Now this JSON model is bonded to my this table. Okay, now in this table, whatever I'm putting, going to modify any information, right? Anything I'm going to modify, anything. But until unless after all this modification, right? Until unless, let's say I'm clicking on this, even on clicking on this, if I am not calling my real OData service, which is actually going to interact with my OData service, it's not going to change this. It's not going to manipulate your data side, server side data. It will be still be in your local. So
Locally based. Okay.
it will be changed only if you are sending back. That's why we have a various method in OData CRUD operation. You might have heard, right? You have
Yes.
get, put, update, right? Delete, all these operations. So see, if you are in my experience, or you will say any if you have OData model, okay, If you have OData model, then you should definitely use your server-side OData modeling. The reason being is that because server-side modeling may, what benefit you will get is that key whatever data you will be getting, you will be interacting directly to the server. Okay, so if you are using JSON model, then you have your work little bit got increased. What you are doing first, you have to get the data from OData model, then create a reference in your JSON model. Okay, then what you will do after creating a reference in your JSON model, what you will do here, you have to manipulate data, modify something, and you perform some activity, and later on, then let's say now it's time to send the data back to server. Again, what you have to do, read the data of modified version of JSON model, create a payload. That payload could be a very big. Why? Because see, let's say this one having how many fields? Let's say 15 fields. This is just a normal example, 15 fields, right? But let's say I select from here, let's say how many fields we have, 16 field. Okay, so all these 16 field will come back here, or it may have some data manipulation you might have done, right? For example, I have changed this unit kg to something like kilogram, right? But now when you're sending it to your backend server, you have to revert back to kg, right? Because your
Yes,
data
right,
model,
right.
your table will not store kilogram, it will store kg. Right, in such a scenario, you have to again format back your data. So your work little bit get increase if you are using JSON model. So that's why in the world of SAP, if you have OData service, then recommended is you should always interact with your OData. Okay, even in this value help also, right? You see this, right? This is also a bond to OData, some particular entity information, whatever they have provided some property on. This is the annotation property they have annotated with the filter. Okay, currency. I was just taking you a high level scenario. Okay, let's say this scenario you can use it local model. Let's say, for example, some right, not all database they may contain. Let's say there will be always only 5 currency, always. So I mean, they are not in the database table, they're not storing it. That's okay because it's not important for them. Then what you can do, you create these 5 data types of currency, you create JSON model and keep it in the drop down. So for such scenario, JSON model is important. JSON model is good if you are going to deal it with locally. But if you are doing it, try it with the OData servers, you read, convert back to JSON, and then your work will increase because when you're sending back to any update, any delete, any operation, you have to always make sure the data pattern reverted back to the same pattern which you have received actually, right? That's the fundamental OData server. You cannot change the data type, you cannot change the format, all these things. You have to revert back the same way, the way you receive. Okay, so that scenario, it's good to interact with your JSON model rather you interact, sorry, OData model, that rather you interact with your JSON if you already have that. Okay, so basically JSON model is your client side data model. Client side matlab what is locally available to you. Okay, and you can do anything, whatever you can do, you can modify, remove, and n number of methods are there, you can do that. Okay, but OData model is, I would say, if you have already in place, then a server side model is best actually, because otherwise it will little bit increase your work, I would say. But yeah, both way is possible. Okay,
Yeah,
we will
understood.
go in depth.
Yeah.
We will go in depth, right, when we were discussing about data modeling. We have many things. I mean, we just a beginning. Okay, we have a data modeling. Then we have a what we discussed today about MVC, right? So we have model. So in model we have a types of model. Then model may we have data binding, right? So we have a different types of data binding. You see, this is the different types of data binding, right? If I put some input here box, it will have different types of data binding. So we will talk about it, what is data binding, what are the types of data model we have. Then we have a controller file, how you can interact with your data model. So all these things will be going to be in the discussion, so no worries. All right, so I hope MBC is everyone is familiar now. I think Vanita is only interacting. Any one of you, what happened? Have interaction is good, right? Or are you getting bored? Hmm? So everyone is understanding, right? Any question other than Vanita, which is asking? And it's good to know
Actually,
if you have some doubt.
yeah, actually, MVC pattern is that in view is basically the designing part, and in controller we will write our logic, and the data binding also in means the main logic will be in the controller part, and model depends on that. In which model actually we will build up our program like JSON model or OData. If it is the server side, then it would be OData, and if it is locally we will do something, then we will try it in JSON model, right?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much good. So yes, the view is, of course, you keep all the UI controls, what you see the layout, by what you see in the view wise, okay, on the screen.
Yeah, the
Yeah, but
designing part
uh,
it will be
designing part.
basically.
Controller will handling your logic of to how you manage the
Built up
events
our
of your
program actually in
yeah
means
events.
what we all need in our program. What is the main motto of program? What we are developing?
Functionality, I
Yeah,
would say. Yeah.
functionality.
And model may little bit modify it. Model may, like modeling means it refers to your data model. That data model can be your OData service model, which is your server side model, or
Yeah,
could be your local model, which is your JSON model.
JSON.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
this data model is going to deal with your data display in your view file or any control logic you are making on top of your data model. So see, modification you can do in both data type. I mean, both the data modeling, like it could be your data model also, right? If you want to modify something in your data model, that data, yes, you can modify. There are methods, right? You can modify that, right? And then you have JSON model that also you can modify that. So
It depends on the requirements actually.
but if you have OData model in the picture, that's why I gave you the scenario, right? If your scenario
Yeah.
is such thing which is you are going to manipulate a lot of information, you want to do a lot of check in your data, some condition check, validation check, then you can manipulate by using with the help of JSON. But I told you it will increase your work because while sending back or performing some action on top of it, it may be you have to revert back to the same pattern. So see, again, yeah, it depends on what is your requirement. I mean, either you can directly manipulate the data and modify data of data model directly, or have your data model JSON reference and then you do anything. Okay, so both is possible. Okay, good. Okay, so it keyboard interaction support accessible feature. Okay, these are the, again, it's like a kind of feature provided by of course JavaScript library, not by SAP UI5. So it means what? It supports basically interaction. So because it's a JavaScript language, hardly on the functionality side. Functionality side in the sense means business functionality when you're writing it in that side. So that side of code, it's very much needed. So it supports that kind of events, like what the keyboard interaction means, like when you put in the key up, down, left, right, you have seen the arrow key and all, right? Control, shift, all these things. So these but of course, to achieve those keyboard interaction, you have to write the logic of your something called browser events of JavaScript. Okay, that's a very high level JavaScript programming, so let's not go there, but just for information you can get. Yeah, this we talk about already, like why we need JavaScript for your business logic. CSS is for coloring, how your control is going to look like. And HTML5 is more of it's more referring to web application. So honestly speaking, HTML5 work is very less in your SAP UI5. There's only one file, which is your Index.html file, which you will be present, which is actually generally it's a talk about your okay, but I will show you that when that what happened. It may have, may not. Let me see. Okay, because it's not here, so nobody. So there is one index.html file we will be doing. I will show you. So this is the only one place where we have this, kind of UGF HTML5. So basically, you can, I mean, just for understanding part, that's nothing else here. And of course, theming, we discuss about that. Okay, yeah, these are the some business feature, which we know that, right? It helps in productivity, of course, better user interaction. We have less manual errors. Why? Because we already built see, it's automatically, right? How where the user will make mistake, tell me here. And it's because it's very simple. What user has to do is very simple. That's the funda of, right, tagline of SAP, run simple, right? So everything is very simple and user interactive, so that there's a very less possibility that human error can happen, right? But of course it doesn't mean that when you develop a Fiori and UI5 there is no bug. Of course there will be a bug and while testing and all, right? In high level in scenario we are saying that in terms of performing your job, in terms of interaction with the application, right, the chances of making errors are less, right? What you cannot may not make any such mistakes. Like suppose you are making this data available, right? What you are doing, you are editing something, right? So you are editing some information here. What else what else mistake you made? Nothing. There will be no chances much to make some human error here, right? So that's the meaning of that, because we make it so simple and focus on what is important, right? So if you remember yesterday we talked, I mean first class we talked about, right, it is simple means it's focused. Fiori apps focus on what is important for the user, not like it's so complex UI looks like very big and all. No, it's not like that. You make the user work simple. That is the fundamental of any enterprise application. Okay, high performance, yes, of course. Nowadays we have S4HANA, right? So of course S4HANA is meant to be performance. It's proven that it has proved the improved the the, you can say that, performance of application than it has ECC system, legacy system, right? So it was slow because ECC has a lot of, I mean, changes had happened in various ERP or link to it, so it is heavy. So that's why the reason the people or the organization who is using ECC system, they are now migrating to S4HANA. Many of them right now they are using S4HANA on premise, but now we have on S4HANA cloud version also available. So the main reason is performance. It's very powerful. It supports like CDS programming, right? CDS is the one region behind your SAP Fiori elements template design, which we will be talking separately. Okay, cost of training, of course. If you see, even a user doesn't know about this, how to use the application, even first time if he come, right, he can easily perform something, right? Okay, he will deliberately click on this. Oh, if I click on this, I can see this details information. That's it. He will click on this icon. So basically, the design is very much intuitive, or I would say the focused on business needs. So it's very simple. Even it's cost of training always reduce in comparison to if you go to SAP system. You have to you put this T code, then after once you come here, you click on this display, then you click on this object again, as you got some T code, then go to this, select this material, then go back there. It's very to and fro, right? A situation. If you have seen any functional who is working typically in SAP system, you might have seen that. So those things is actually reducing, that I would say the human or cost of training, I would say, right? Perfect design API and can be consumed easily, of course. That let's say if we have auditor services, so every business logic, whatever you have written in your backend system, functional module, audit, right, BADI and all, everything combinedly exposed in form of auditor service. Let's say I'm talking about auditor service because let's say I'm focusing and I'm assuming we are doing only for S4. But for example, out of SAP environment also we have Java services, right? Java service we can you can design API. I mean, if you have the way of handling other than OData, the other API is getting handled by different programming language, which is Ajax actually. That's a different topic again. But what I'm saying, SAP for UI5, you can also use a different API, the API which you can build as auditor service, or SAP also has given something called API Hub. Okay, if you see here, one more topic, one more thing. This is something called API Hub. Okay, by SAP. So if you see here, this is your API here, Business API Hub. Okay. SAP, yeah, SAP. So if you see here, there are different set of API available, right? So as for S4HANA, we have different APIs available, right? So based on different again, Oreta version 2, Oreta version 4, what are the REST API? So all these things they have mentioned, right? So this kind of API, these are the standard API which you can use it, right? So the similar API you are building as a data service or whatever is available, right? So SAP is recommended if any of the API is if you have to go inside, you can go and deep dive into this what API mean, what it does, all this information. There are additional information actually I'm talking about and I'm sharing with you all. It's up to you. If you want to explore, you can go in that. So you either can so this they're referring to any standard API available, or you would of course design and develop a OETA service and consume it easily, right? So this versioning wise we have already discussed, I think already, like of course it has various version, and I mean we have already discussed that part. So okay, what this versioning you see, these are different part, right? It is mentioned, right? So first digit what it specifies is one, let's say 1.38, right? So 1.38 may one is the major version, 38 is your something your specific to some kind of versioning, like 1.38. 1.38 means some improvement, right? Something has been done on this version, like 1.38 after some major version 1.71, 1.84, something like that. But even if you see, this is the drop down, right? Okay, let me show you one more time. So for example, this is the one, right? This is the 1.110, 1.1, 1.2. So this is the major version. Okay, this is the improvement of that version. Plus this, what you see here, these are the some kind of patches. Patches means there could be some enhancements, some errors, some fixes, right? So those things will be covered into that third part. Okay, the third is just where the patch version. Okay, means some enhancements, some deprecation, or like any bug fixes. So that is the patch version available. Okay, all right. So this is about SAP UI5. Basically, fundamentally I have talked about. Now you have UI5 and Open UI5. If you remember yesterday, or maybe in the first session, we talked about Open UI5, right? Remember, so SAP UI5 is more designed, and you can say supports your SAP domain development majorly. But there are people who is non-SAP, right? So our organization who still use SAP UI5 control, which is known as Open UI5 control. Open means it's open source, but there is a catch here. So there is a not 100% same control you will see in SAP UI5 will be available in Open UI5. No, probably a smart control is not available in Open UI5. Why? Because smart control is designed and meant to be for your serious data modeling, not for anything. Because if you don't have data service serious modeling, your smart control will not work. Okay, it will work up to certain extent in normal data service also, at least, but it's not recommended. It's greatly supported if you have serious data modeling with annotation, then it's greatly supported and have a good feature, you can use it. But if you are using it without any serious annotation structure, it may render your control, but it will not have all the feature. All the feature means these features. It will not have variant management. It will not have basic view setting dialog. It will not have these features and all. Okay, smart control. This one we will have, but the way it behaves, like the way it's showing you all this option, right? It may not be supported fully fledged. So that's the reason it is saying that open, you may not use it. So if you compare SAP UI5 and UI5 version is more of like it's provided by SAP itself, but they are in different in various aspects, like with respect to costing. Let's say SAP UI5 is a licensing version, okay, but Open UI5 is not. It is open, and SAP UI5 support like different this version. It has to support. It supports your HANA Cloud and optimized solution, but Open UI5 is more of like open source technology, where development releases by or any other organization non-SAP, they can use it, but it is not going to be specific to SAP product. Rather, it is going to be a kind of normal web application development with some restricted controls, will not be the same. Okay, SAP UI5 can be integrated HANA and all these things, right? But Open UI5 cannot. Open UI5 is only introduced with, I mean, it's just a normal information like okay, GitHub and okay. By the way, any of one of you we know about GitHub? Any one of you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me. What is GitHub?
GitHub is a site where you have option to see different resolution for different language, raw language, and including code for 3D printer and Arduino and anything that involve programming.
Okay. Yeah, pretty much little bit. Yeah, I mean same. So GitHub is actually, you know, is your source code management. Okay, available on your basically on the web, right? And what it is mentioned in the slide, if you remember, this is available in your open GitHub. What does it mean? Is that because it's open source, right? So that's why it's available in the GitHub, like all the information required, library, all this information available. And if you see the major difference, if you see by the logo itself and event documentation itself, you see that here how it's different, right? You may see some difference, some similarities, definitely yes, because both are developed and given by, you know, SAP itself. But you see how this normal, if I just go to this, this is how the SAP UI5 standard SDK look alike, which will support your SAP system solution full-fledged. Okay, OpenUI5 will support here, but if you see this, if you go to the demo kit, okay, it will have certain difference. You can see here, even the look and feel, you can easily find out, okay, how different it is going to be. Right, in fact in the documentation you see there are very less information, right? It's like see here essential developing apps, all these things you will be seeing it. But let's see here how many more you have, right? Framework, you have extending, developing all these apps. So there are, of course, not going to be 100% same. I told you 80% you will still find it same. Okay, and the major differences which is very much listed here because it supports HANA, Cloud, NetWeaver, all these things, but OpenUI5 it's not. I mean it's meant for open, so it's not like that. Okay, now let's come back to your UI5 browser support. So okay, see where every application has their own, you know, like the compatibility with the browser, right? Fiori is one of the web application which is needs your stable browser to be, you know, run. So you remember you might have been seen the news or remember that like Internet Explorer has been officially deprecated, I think few months back, probably I think last year itself, I guess, probably, or maybe in the beginning of this year. So this Internet Explorer was one of the drawback of Fiori, and it was not very good supported, but it is still very much places. If you have seen, even if your gateway system, if you launch something, it is by default configured by IE, but IE is actually officially deprecated. So these are the browsers you should use it for your Fiori testing application running. Even if your customer is using it IE, please convey them, do not use IE. It's very bad. Okay, IE doesn't support standard or new control feature because SAP UI5 SAP has raised a statement that it's not going to support any bug reported in IE browser because Microsoft itself has been deprecated, and so it's not going to support it. So I try to avoid generally when you launch anything right from here, it will generally log on, say it will generally going to launch your IE sometime, but many of the organization they have released by Edge now. Okay, the next version is IE is Edge. So yeah, so Firefox, Chrome, Safari and Edge, these are the browser which highly supported. Especially we will be going to use your Chrome. This is the place we will going to test our application. This is the place we are going to use the Google Chrome as your debugger tool. Like if your application is running here, right, how you can debug your Fiori application. So this is the browser which we will be targeting to, you know, to debug your Fiori apps majorly. This is for generally for iOS. Edge is generally, I mean, you can use it, but preferably we will be to use Google Chrome and some not even a Firefox, Google Chrome. Okay, okay. So library wise, let's little bit deep dive into your library. Okay, so library. Remember I talked about
dumpling, spring roll, mandu.
anyone having any question? I heard some voice. Okay. Okay, so library is the one, right, basically, which is going to provide you different set of controls, right? What does it mean by controls which I was talking about? That control means various set of library, right? So for example, let's say I want to use some button, right? So I have told you, like, if you want to go to API section, you will find out button example I gave you. Let's say I have now, I want to use pie chart. Okay, so let's just search pie chart, or I think instead of yeah, so pie, or otherwise you just search chart. Okay, so under this chart you will be going to see different charts which is available. Okay, so the library which may refer could be different. Like, for example, let me see what chart it is referring to. See, sap.vij.ui5. Okay, so this is one of the library sap.vij.ui5 where it will provide you different types of charts. So those charts are, I mean, for example, if I show you in this sample what are the charts available. So if you see here, we have a smart chart, we have a, okay, let's leave the smart chart. I will go back to some normal veg frame charts. Okay, so veg frame chart, like, see, all charts with time axis. So this is the one of the chart representation here, right? Like that, like visualization. You have bar chart. Remember, we have seen this bar chart in our analytical apps, right? Like that. When we have something bullet kind of chart operation, if we can see representation, right? So we have radar. So how will we use it, right? So if you are using any of these chart, like we have donut chart, right? So if you are using any of the chart, how you will make sure that this chart will render in your UI? If you guys have seen that, remember, by giving the example, I have shown you this declaration part. Remember, this is the part which you have to give your uh, library declaration. See, I'm using a smart table, so I'm defining sap.ui.comp. This is my library name. Dot, out of this library, this is the control I'm using it. This is library up to here. This is the control I'm using it. Okay, similar way, if you see here in this donut chart, I am going to declare my library. See, as if this is the widget, this is the namespace. This is a uniquely identified thing, because if you give this widget, so wherever you are referring your controls, right, it will be taken as a widget. I mean, you are referring to that library particularly. Okay, so this widget will give you that control to like widget, we have data under that control library. Under that we have another property called data, right? So this will help you whenever you are going to refer any controls out of those library. Okay, so let's say, see, this is the widget here, whatever you have mentioned here, you see this is the widget. So this widget declaration, if it's not present in your declaration part, your UI will not render, it will throw error, it will not even render your screen, right? So this declaration of library is the one which you are referring in your XML file. Okay, but do we refer in controller file? Yes, we do refer in controller file also. Okay, for example, see, SAP UI. Okay, see the same library we used here, right? But what we are using here, we are using additionally with the format of chart formatter. Okay, there are different like see, every library having their different types of methods available. So for example, if I go back here, which frame, okay, so if I go to the which frame here, you will be finding out what this library is all about, right? So this is, if you can, which frame is a which control manager visualization of layout, customizing interaction with some kind of data, right? Like that. So you will find here what are the property it has available, right? These are the property which you declare how it's going to render in your screen. So this property will help you to put some data, put some data manipulation, put some coloring and all this stuff. Okay, so that will be helpful in case of if you know and explore that library, what controls you're going to use. Okay, under this section, event may you aggregation will help you what others you other than this, what are the things you can combine it, right? Data set, you have feeds, you have, right? So all the data set is the one which will be responsible for your this data to display, right? If you see here, whatever data you see here, this is the sub data set, right? This is the data set. So this is coming from where? This is coming from your data set, right? So you have to modify that. Remember, see, this data is given here, right? So this data I'm referring it. So these are the, this is how this uh, aggregation will help you apart from, I mean, in this particular library and control, what else you can combine together. Then next section you will have something called events, right? Events may it will tell you about, you know, what it will like. If you do something, let's say I'm saying select data, what will happen? So for example, if I select this, what will happen? This will happen. So this events, how you'll find the information. Let's say you put some button, right? The button may which event is responsible when you click on button, it will do something. So button having some event called press. So unless you are not defining that thing, it will not happen. So for example, if you see here in my declaration side here, which data may, you will see here there will be some declaration. How do you see here which frame we have, right? Config we have given, type is given, right? Data set is has been given here, right? So and then you can see here ID. So ID they are referring, they will be referring to some event when they are clicking on it, right? So those things you can find out information here. By ID also you can attach something, right? See here, see which frame may you get the data from with the ID, and then you set some. These are the set method, get, you know, you setter getter method, right? So these are the events that you are setting it, you are making it happening. So these are the events how you can find from here, how to set those events. Sets dot select data, dot render complete, dot deselect data, something like that. These methods are those, let's say out of any control you want to apply something, that like suppose this fridge from dot I want to add some feed, right? So what you can do in add feed, all these information are available. What I need to pass, what it will return, all the information has been provided here, right? So just example, I'm just telling you about your which frame. But similarly, it has mentioned about your sap.ui.com, right? So sap.ui.com example, I have very first interaction we have told. This is the this is the example of sap.com example. I think this smart table which example we have gave you. Okay, let me. I think it's already in the big size. Okay, let me. Make it fresh. Sample. So any smart control which is you are seeing here, anything, if I say a smart, just a smart, right? All, see how many smart tables we have. Smart, these all are smart control, be it any smart control. It's all belongs to your sap.ui.conf in your library which you are referring it. Okay, and then a smart field is dot a smart field. So it means under this library of this control you are referring it. Similar way for multi input and for your let's say a smart table we were talking about. If you see in the declaration part here in the C, you see here, okay, it has been like you have filter bar, see comp, right? So this is, they are referring your library. Table is again one of the library which is very important here. If you see here, you have something called, let's say, table. Okay, so table we have various type. We have M table, we have grid table, we have tree table, right? Different table we have, right? So let's say I will say grid table, right? What example you have seen here is each type of grid table. What you see here, this is the type of grid table. Okay, so I will talk definitely when doing development, when to use grid table, when to use M table, when to use tree table, right? So largely if we use in SAP domain is more of like grid table. Okay, so grid table is meant for holding large data, okay, large set of data. M table is responsive table in the sense like, see M table. So okay, let me show you one more thing then. Okay, for example, if I see, it could be your, okay, now if you see this, this you see now this has been this has been shrink. You see this has been shrink, and like you have to drill down like left, right, and then you have to see the data, right? This become responsive because based on the device I selected, right? Like that. So a responsive table we have called M table, and then something called UI table, which is your, which we am talking right now. This is your grid table, which is basic table. I mean, like this example you can see here, it's coming here, right? You can see Similar way we are mentioning here. So that is your grid table to hold a large set of data. Similarly, we have responsive table. Responsive tables are those table which is meant to be responsive. Now I will show you this how it behaves. So this is my responsive table, right? In responsive table may you will see many information, but not as many as column you see here, right? You have seen in general responsive table by default don't come with the horizontal scroll bar. Okay, region, it's the main feature of responsive table is it's actually accumulate or get responsive with the space of a screen provider. See, this much is the screen, right? This much the width of a screen. So in this area only it will try to adjust itself. It will not increase, it will not go beyond, and it will not bring this until unless you are not. Of course there are way we can bring back the horizontal scroller here, but in general by default it never comes, because the idea of being responsive table, you see now difference, you will understand that. So responsive table generally take only those many with what you see. Now you see here every column what you have seen, it's actually break down into a, like, see, one of the table, another column like that. So this is how it's going to break down. It's going to readjust itself in the vertical alignment. But you see the difference here. It was not vertical aligned. It was shrink. Shrink means you still have this horizontal scroll bar, but you are scrolling up, right? Scrolling right side to see those data. If you're not scrolling up, it's not showing it. But in case of your responsive table you don't need to scroll at least horizontal, because every information it already shown you, right? It's already shown here. What information you see here is already came break down into vertical alignment, and it's so this is very much useful. That's why it's called responsive table. Responsive controls or library has been designed for mobile devices, majorly for mobile devices. When it's got supported by released by SAP, then you can say that largely there was used to be a different library, old library, which has been deprecated now, and it has been replaced by your this sap.m library. Okay, similar way we have another called UX3. Again, UX3 deal with your some kind of different set of I would say like layout or kind of different controls which having different feature. So we have sap.f is another library which we are having it, right, which will deal with dynamic page. We will talk about. So whatever design you see here, right now in a smart table, right, whatever you design you see, this is the dynamic table design. Okay, so this in Fiori elements, whatever layout you see, this is the new layout design, which is the new library introduced with sap.f. Okay, similar way, like the different way we have various library. I cannot cover all of them. I'm just showing you few which is actually is very much used and some kind of thing. UX3 probably. Let me see if something is there. UXAP. Yeah, there's another control, core control. UXAP is another one. Then we have, I think, object page. Yeah. Okay, so there are different again we have libraries. So you have to go and check what are the things of libraries are available. There are made many, but these are the most common example of libraries which is available in the SAP UI5, and we mostly use in large count sap.m, sap.comp is the and then UI table. Okay, so these three are the most used your library in general. This is only used for your table section. This is used for many other control, like name it anything, button, your let's say if you are using simple form, you are using any kind of input field, whatever you see majorly right on the screen of any of the example which I have shown you, this all is M control. Only the table is going to use this, or the smart control is going to use this, but in that layout whatever any other thing you see is 99% chances you are going to use M control, because rest all controls whatever you see having a library having a very restricted and limited usage, but this is having a wide. The reason being it's every control is getting replaced by now is going to be a part of SAP.m library. That's the reason. Okay, so I think in structure architecture wise we already have discussed. I think this is the same I mean kind of like client your devices, you are interacting with the with your device and you are pulling it back to SAP.m library. I mean basically you are interacting with your Fiori library. We have basically this application which is running having a different library, having a MVC pattern, which basically if you see has been explored here, and then these are your backend component which is going to interact. So I think we already have discussed already yesterday in details. Okay, like that. Okay, so SAP UI5 having one more thing. If you remember here in the documentation section, I have shown you something called essential part. Okay, so this essential part is something which is which they talk about your what is most important things in your SAP UI5 development. Okay, so there are a few things, which is one is bootstrapping and another one is something called component one. Okay, so here it is mentioned simple like faceless component. Faceless component means like if you see every Fiori application which when it runs, if you any one of you have remember I told you like HTML5 usability, whatever you see that part is actually helpful only when you are running that application locally as a web application. This is the place where this is going to use, but there's a one file which is called component.js file. Okay, this component.js file is actually known as a faceless component, which going to be rendered when any Fiori application runs on the launchpad. See, Fiori application means to be run from the launchpad. Remember that. SAP UI5 you can run alone also as a web application. Okay, purely if you say if it's SAP Fiori, then that SAP UI5 application has to be configured on your launchpad. Then your SAP UI5 app can be considered as a SAP Fiori application. But when you are running it locally, when you're running as a web application, it will be known as just a web application, not a Fiori application. Though you have used Fiori library, though you have used the Fiori controls, Fiori design guidelines, but until unless you are not running from the launchpad, it will be not, I mean, I will say as per the rule, it will not be considered as a Fiori app. Fiori apps has to be and meant to be deployed and configured on launchpad. It should run from there because launchpad itself provides some more feature to support your Fiori apps development and support its feature to enhance it. That's the reason. Okay, now so component is one of the major file here which we'll talk about. I mean basically component.js file is the one which will render whenever you run any application from launchpad. So if anybody asks you, tell me which file in Fiori apps which rendered first, so not Index.html file, not at all until it's not running alone on web as a locally. But if it's running from the launchpad, the component.js file is responsible to make it happen and run as a first file as a component.js file. Okay, so this is the component controller where runtime metadata and component methods. Okay, so this is the typical declaration of your component. So this is basically it runs in your background. Okay, so that's why like this is also known as a faceless component of Fiori apps. The component.js is the one who invoke your Fiori apps other files to run. Okay, we will talk about what this is referring to, what this is referring to. Okay, so basically this is the soul I would say this is the soul of your Fiori app, which will invoke the running of your Fiori apps whenever you launch it very first time. Okay, it has a lot many things. So if you see the declaration is this much only. Now one more thing, in the component file in the Fiori apps, in the file you can have n number of component. You can actually combine together. But it's a very complicated complex scenario that generally we do not make multiple component inside of Fiori apps, because there's chances of conflicting those components, because one component referring to one of the content of your Fiori apps running, and if you are inserting another one, it's basically a very complex scenario, generally used very rarely. It's not much used in general scenario. Okay, so UI components are used to rendering. I told you represent area, it will just invoke your application, right? It has performed, I mean, basically this component is the base class and faceless, I mean, just now we talk about. So in general, if I talk about, it gives you a reference of manifest.json file, which contains lot of information. What lot of information? I will just show you one, I mean, say the insight of it, probably not in details right now, but I will show you, because we will start anyway from very much beginning, where it went back again. Wait a minute. So I will just show you that file, okay, what it means to that. Okay, so remember, I understood, right? Component.js file is your soul of your Fiori apps, which going to render your Fiori application, which going to render your basic setup. Okay, so in this file, if you see what is written here, it is like more of mentioning what it's referring to, some kind of metadata, manifest.json, right? So manifest.json is nothing but is the complete biodata of your application. Okay, so this is what means to be manifest.json file. Okay, so if you see here in this entire file, you will not I mean, you may not see right now. Okay, that's not mentioned, let's leave it, but when you download it, definitely it will come. Okay, so manifest.json file, generally we make a reference from there under the component.js file. We just make a reference to it, manifest.json. This is the metadata. What is metadata here? Metadata of a component controller should be used to declare runtime metadata. Okay, so then we defined the component metadata externally in manifest.json file. Okay, because the descriptor of component mandatory for basically when the performance optimization ke liye, because see, this is the very first file to render, right? If you make the first file itself very heavy, because what is manifest.json file is like a biodata of your Fiori apps, right? So if you make your first file even very heavy, like line by line execution, your application performance will be affected. That's the reason it's actually utilized as a reference of another file, which is called manifest.json file, which will have three major sections. One is your app section, which will talk about your ID of your app, which is going to be unique, and the version of it. Then you will have another subsection of SAP.UI5, where it will define what is your root view. Okay, root view means what is your first view, means what is your first page which is going to render. Okay, it could be your sometimes we have a faceless view or file also, where we just make it as a first view, but it is not going to display, rather it will be in the behind. So basically root view will be generally, we will talk about root view about also. So it's just the first file which is going to display. That will be your display in the sense ki to hit as a view file. It may not be meant to be displayed, but considered as a root view to help you to render faster. Okay, that's why it will have a dependency of different libraries. So M library, right? I told you this is the two majorly used library. Other library, whatever you see, which frame, table and other things. So you have having a limited usability. Whenever you use, you declare. If you don't use, you don't declare. But this thing is a largely used nowadays. That's why we use it. Okay, now what are if any resources, you make this reference, and this the config file. Remember the config file having some reference to it. So this is the this is the optional part, I would say. It's not actually required. It's required only if you are using a mock server which we are using it here, right? So that's why for mock server details, if you want to pass, then you have to pass it here. If you don't have mock server, then you don't need to pass, or any additional file you want to pass, you can see this is how you can give a reference to your view file, your controller file, and your manifestation file under the config section, right? So it has many other other features that I will talk about. It will also contains the information about navigation, right? One page to another page navigation. We will talk about that also, right? Don't worry. So for example, I will just show you here. Under this, you will have something called routing and navigation. Okay, so routing and navigation, routing configuration. Okay, so if you see in the file, you see this is your manifest.json file. Okay, so under this you will be going to write this logic, whatever you see routing config. Okay, so where you have to put all this routing configuration under your manifest.json file. Okay, so it could be n number of file of navigation, app navigation. You have to put everything inside your manifest.json file. So see, manifest.json file is your very much, so first important file is your component.js file. After that, which file is going to execute? This is your manifest.json file, which is going to render your entire configuration of your Fiori apps. Like what are the what are the ID you have maintained, what are the data you have maintained, what are the reference of your any control file you have maintained, what are the navigation you have maintained, routing parameter you have maintained. So basically it reads your complete biodata of your entire Fiori apps, which is going to be invoked first. Okay, if that is missing, it will not, if any information is missing, your Fiori apps will not even load it. Okay, so this is very much important file. So if I say component.js file is a soul, then metadata is like a driver, soul driver, I can say, right? Like someone who is going to like component.js file, invoke it, and metadata will carry it. Okay, after executing these two files only, your view will be rendered, then your file and execution will be happen. If it fails at the very first stage, it will not even render your application. Okay, so these are the things, read out, because see, theoretically I will not go and read line by line. If you are interested, I told you in the beginning, you have to understand that, right? So you have to little bit put extra additional effort here, because in our training we will be talking about the parameter, the terminology. I will be definitely explaining, I will definitely going to show you, but in details, the more you go by your side, it will help you in more to understand it better. Because if you are focusing on something and reading it by yourself, try to understand by yourself, it's giving you extra boost to your knowledge. If any doubt, definitely you come back to me. Okay, but one another important part is something called bootstrapping. Okay, see, bootstrapping is the terminology we use to initialize your runtime automatically. So what bootstrapping does, it initialize your all the library. You see here, we in the manifest.json file, right? Here you see we have mentioned some like view file. Remember, these are the filter, these are the library you have mentioned. And then in the manifest.json file you have mentioned, right, some of the dependency of your library, right? So what bootstrapping does, so after this declaration, bootstrapping actually makes sure that whatever the initialization of your initial library of loading everything, whatever is required, it has been initialized and loaded prior to your lab view and file is getting rendered. Okay, so see, it initialized the runtime automatically as soon as the script is loaded and executed by the browser. So if your bootstrapping is help you in the sense of loading and initializing your application in the very beginning. Okay, so this is the one file where we declare, remember I was talking about index.html file. So this is the only place which actually helps here, because under index.html file we put a reference to our component.js file also. Okay, so let me show you here. See a bootstrap here. Okay, so see, this is your index.html file. Okay, under this section we write this logic. See, SAP UI bootstrap, something like that. Okay, and then we of course we maintain the theme. You declare the library. We declare very different part of information what based on what you need to based on require of course, but these are the basic you have to minimum has to maintain. Okay, and this is the one resource root is something called namespace. Means this is the unique name you are going to be referred going forward to refer any of the information. Okay, any of the anything. Like what I mean to say is that if you want to identify your file, so you have to go through your naming of this is your this will be your namespace. You see, this is the namespace has been declared in your in any of the application. This will be your namespace, but you might have declared something. Okay, like that. All right, so this is the how you will be going through it. So this is the bootstrapping will help, and all this stuff you can make it going to happen here, and this is how it's going to initialize your application, and under the index file it's going to be presented your information here. Okay, so this is how it works for bootstrapping. Then we have a component configuration again in your component.js file. A reference we pass on like I told you, similar way, like you initialize your application model and all these things. We will talk in details when we are developing application, but this is a typical component.js file, which we, if you see here, this is the metadata which we root view we maintain, and we pass on the information to our manifest JSON file. Okay, so these are the root files, and of course when we start, we will start from the beginning, so don't worry about that. Now let's take a 5-minute break. Okay, and I will come back, and we'll start with your BTP development environment trial, because I think I mean whatever you see it has been already covered. MVC we have already covered here. Whatever you see we already discussed. Okay, so I mean we have covered these all type of thing. Now we have show and tell 1 hour left that we will discuss about that. So let's try that part. Okay, so now we are jumping into our development environment setup. So till now, whatever we discussed, I mean, it was a very basic introduction to your SAP UI5, but remaining components, as I told you, I mean, when we are going through the development stage, in middle of it we will explain you that theoretical part, and then you will show you in that part. So what was the basic terminology, all this stuff I have tried to cover in your PPT presentation. I hope you all have got some basic idea about this SAP UI5 framework and their various terminology and how it works. Even I have shown you a few of the code, from the standard template. But yeah, I mean, we will be starting from the scratch now. So everyone, can you, any one of you, please, from your end, maybe Abhishek or I mean Vinita, can you share your screen? And otherwise, okay, let me share my screen then. I think that will be better. And just follow this steps which we are doing it. I mean, everyone, you have the link, right, to log into your cockpit. So please log into your cockpit. Okay, so now let me share my screen. All right. So this is my, you will be going to get this kind of, I mean, everyone is able to see that. So you will be coming here. Okay, you will be coming here. You select this part and then come back till here. Everyone are in this page.
Yes. Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, come to instance and subscription part.
Okay. So we
Okay,
have this
now
application studio and
yeah, build work is
standard
on standard
edition.
edition. Yeah, so
Build
this is
work
referring
zone.
to your launchpad service. This is referring to your development tool.
I think we all not having the second one.
This one you don't have?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, no worries. So whoever doesn't have the second one, please drop the probably the name or mail ID so that Nitin can take a note of it and we'll pass on. Okay. Okay, so now come back to Business Application Studio. You click on this. Oh, my dev space. Whose account? Okay, this is my account. Okay, yesterday I was trying with admin account. Okay, fine. So everyone, you will be able to see this create dev subspace option.
Yeah.
All right. So under this, click on create dev space and give some name like something called Fiori underscore UI5 underscore training. Okay, something meaningful name. Okay, so right now, if you see, there are different other type here, but since we are focusing on Fiori, so we will stay with back to the Fiori part. Now, so what it does here, just I'm a little bit explaining you about the dev space in Fiori, how it works is that like it has already this inbuilt tool available. UI5 adoption project, basic tool is present, free style template are available, HTML5 apps you can develop. MTA again a different concept of a kind of stuff that you can see, right? Then you have a service. I mean, these are the already predefined extension added to your workspace. Now this is the additional one. So additional one may you can use it like I mean based on the need, I would say. But I will suggest here like only the application template that is also HTML5, but okay, create HTML5 application. Launchpad module you can include. However, we are not going to actually design develop here Launchpad. Instead, we are going to do it in Launchpad service. All right, and that's it. So these two, or otherwise, if you do even not selecting, so no worries. You can just leave it. That's actually not going to affect anything in our development. But I'm just saying you, if you in your need in your build something kind of future, if you need anything in our uh, development, but I'm just saying you, if you in your need in your build something kind of future, if you need something like workflow you have to design, then select this module, right? If you have something testing framework you are doing tool for say build work zone, if you are building it for build zone is nothing but referring to your launchpad, but it's having a different controls integration, then you can select all these things. Neo means like SAP Cloud Platform earlier version. If you want to include something, then you can include this new HTML5 version if you want to put that migration tool basically. Okay, so I'm just showing you if it's based on that. If you want to do some Python development, or you can also to select that. So basically, see what Bash is like more powerful than WebID. WebID was more focused on your workflow development and SAP Fiori UI5 development. But Bash has came up with more powerful feature which supports your HANA modeling as well, right? HANA database, CDS modeling, not exact coding, but you have some CDS graphical modeler you can define. You have CAP is the new programming language. It's a new set of different set of user. I would suggest like you have set not user, sorry, it's a different programming. It's like something called cloud application programming. Okay, so CAP, something known as in BTP environment. So this is, it supports a lot of things. Okay, so based on that you can just create your workspace. Now when you create your workspace, this is how it will start. It will be running. So in your trial phase it will show you only for two of them. All right, and okay, fine. So everyone, if you start this running, right, you will be able to see this. You see this information. So if you click on Fiori UI5 training, so everyone, you got this green color indicator.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
All right, good. Now let it load. You are getting it loading, right?
What we need to select? Actually,
Even if you're not selecting anything, that's not going to affect our development. I was just explaining if you need something additional that you can do. Okay, if you want to do that, then let me try. Once again, I will show you. So generally, when you are in the dev space, okay, then again I have to basically stop. Okay, so if it's running, you can stop. Okay, when you stop in that scenario, I mean, then you can go back to edit section, let it stop. Okay, once it's stop, then at any moment of time, let's say you want to add some more, click on edit icon. You will not be able to change the name, but you can select the some. What I was saying here, like if you need some additional extension to be added in your development environment, then you can select from here. For example, I have selected few of them like a launchpad module. I mean, see, none of them, if you are not selecting, it's not gonna affect our development 400%. Don't worry. It's just the additional information I'm passing on. Key, if you need such thing which is very, like says you want to only build as HTML5, not a Fiori UI5, but HTML5, then you select this. Okay, let's say if you want to develop a multi-target application with the help of Launchpad module, then you select this. Okay. Similarly, if you want to develop Python, then you use this Python. HANA modeling, then use this HANA tools and all, right? So similar like Neo, if you want to migrate something from your SAP Cloud Platform Neo environment, then you migrate this Neo HTML5. Okay. For say build work zone, if you want to, this is our Launchpad stuff again, development tool, then you can use this part. Something like that. Okay. If you are doing it, good. You select and then do save changes. If your save changes, automatically it will start here. It will start that part, and then we will be going to check. Got the point? So
Yeah,
let us run again, and I will do a start back. Let it load. Yeah, now it will go inside everyone. Okay, so now try to understand how, if any one of you is familiar with kind of okay, in that scenario, and that we can actually check and see that. Okay, you have certain things like you can check the themes here. Themes may you, if you want to change some coloring, you can actually visualize, like you have dark Visual Studio, and maybe I mean you have something coloring theme, you can mention here something like dark plus or something like that, right? So if you want to, so I personally like, I mean, I'm just showing you if you want to like some kind of thing. So I personally like little bit dark Visual Studio, so I select that part, and then everyone come back to this tab in the right corner. You see customizing layout, this button in the right side. Everyone, can you confirm? Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, click on that and click on visibility selection. Yes. Okay. Now you see on the top, you will be seeing this is information. Okay. So this is the introduction to your BAS, how you need to work on. All right. So everyone, you in the home page, you might be seeing all this information, like you create a new project with the template, or you can clone from the GitHub, or you can import it, or you can or you can some kind of okay. Everyone aligned, right?
Yes.
Okay, now if you see on the top, we have file, edit, selection, view, all these things we will tell you about how to start and all. Now for now, you can start with here new project from template. Okay, or you can directly create a new project. Okay, so when you click new project, you will be seeing here one prompt here. It will come to press enter project name, or you can dump it. Or if you want to do that, then you can start from there, new project from the template. Okay, so new project from template will start with some kind of template will be provided. Okay, so when you click on start from template here, it will give you, see why we need to start from template sometime is good idea, because it's good to start with okay, it's good to start with some kind of basic foundation of files, folders. It will get generated, so it will help you kind of some application development, and some kind of, you don't have to create a folder separately, you don't have to create a file separately. All of course the basic structure it will give you, so don't worry about that. That's the reason we are talking about key. We go by template, be it freestyle or be it Fiori elements. Choose template, which will be good, but you can start with a scratch also. It's even by going by the freestyle, you are still starting with a scratch. Only difference, you will be having the folder structure ready. That's it. So you select everyone Fiori elements. Okay, sorry, SAP Fiori application. Select that. Click on start. Okay, now you see the basic we have, right? This is about your freestyle application, starting with an empty page. Okay, then we have something called custom page, right? Where I create a Fiori elements application containing a custom page, right? With the Fiori's freestyle, we have both the option. You can either style with the freestyle. See, freestyle means what we'll have now, you have to put every view controls into it. You have to put that, then you have to put the controller file logic, and then you have to extend, right? Custom page me, if you're using this, it will already will give you something build up page of a Fiori elements type, and then you can try. Then we have list report page. List report page means it will give you, I remember reporting type of page design already, and it's ready for that. All right, so such kind of things, everyone is ready with till here, list report or custom or basic. So let's start with first as a basic, because we are going to start something from the scratch. Okay, later on we will touch few more types of it, but we'll start with basic. Now go back to next. Okay, fine. So now okay, so before one more thing, we will try to, I mean, we have already one of the topic that we are covering, like how you can maintain a connectivity. Okay, so I will just take a few minutes and I will just explain you about our connectivity, data connectivity. I will definitely talk about a little bit details, how you can set up those such configuration and details. Right now, we will just show you the place where we actually do connect. You see the connectivity section, right? So under this connectivity section, we have something called Cloud Connector, which helps to set up, that connectivity established from S4HANA system. We maintain some Cloud Connector setup, and that Cloud Connector setup will give you accessibility. It creates a bridge, basically a proxy. It's a kind of proxy communication between your S4HANA and cloud system. And it will give you access to your S4HANA system via Cloud Connector, where you maintain a destination. Destination refers to your whatever Cloud Connector will generate one URL that you are referring here in the destination to fetch a particular OData services or the list of services which is available in that system. Okay, so that's the reason when you come here, you will be able to see connect to a system, connect to an OData service, connect to a business application hub, something this like that, right? So see what it does mean. It means whatever destination you have configured for that particular system, it will be applicable here. When you connect to your system, it will be go back here. Okay. Okay. Now, if I'm selecting here OData service, tell me what will happen here. Can you tell me anybody?
Sorry, what was the question?
My question was, when I selected OData service, what will happen here?
Yeah, we
Maybe-
need to give service URL or the like.
Yeah, service path we should give over here. The server
Yes.
side path.
Okay, that's great. So let's say if you have any OData service, okay. Let's say I have something. Remember, okay? Any of you have you remembered any kind of something called Northwind OData services? Anybody? You know about this?
Can you come again with the question, Manu?
Northwind OData services.
Yes, it's an open open source OData, Manu. In our HANA training, we were exposed to that OData. For some examples, he was referring that Northwind OData service.
Very good. Anyone have used it?
We didn't use it explicitly because we were asked to create our own OData. We were not asked to use that one. The trainer was using that.
Okay. So okay, chalo. Let's find that part. But what I'm saying, in case of OData services, you can use either Northwind Open OData service, or you have developed even your OData service. All can be booked here. What will happen when I to connect to SAP Business Accelerator Hub? It means, remember, I was showing you one of the SAP API Hub library, right? Hub and also. So those kind of service also you can. This is a standard SAP Business Accelerator Hub. So whichever API is standard, you can actually directly use and select those services here. If you see here, these are the services which is actually available in a standard one, okay, in a standard format, and it is available to that. Next is that you see, let's say in our scenario, we have a connective system. Connective system means like whatever I have maintained here, destination, I will be going to refer that. Okay, we will come back to all this section, but for now we are just moving that. Now, if you see here, there is something called the section whatever I have maintained here. For example, destination may, if you go here, I have maintained one of the service maintain name, that name called this. Okay, this is the name. So that's the name I can be picking up. Okay, you remove this, ignore this, because this is the default one which comes with the ABAP cloud section. If you are doing ABAP cloud development, and then in that scenario it will be coming up. Okay, so you select here ABAP environment for SAP Business Technology Platform. All right. In our case, it will not be applicable. That's the reason it will give you error. Right now, we are going to use our destination service via our S4 HANA service data connectivity. Okay, so see, in this scenario, what will happen when you are using a template, it will be asking you data source and service selection, all these things, so that whatever you do, it will be make sure everything will be on things available. Okay, now there will be a possibility, like right now we see there is no data services are available in this particular system. Like probably we need to check with the vendor in that scenario. Okay, why it's not here? But generally, when you select some service, so it will display you list of the service whatever are available on that part. Okay, so now even if I revert this back for now, because in our scenario looks like the services part, so I will start with new project. Let's say I start with the something called start with the scratch. Okay, so let's say Fiori, SAP UI5 and demo. And this is the restriction here. It refers a small. So let's say we'll give it as a SAP, and then we have a demo, right? Demo app. Okay, so when you enter this, it will be going to create one of the folder. Okay, so now in this folder, what will happen here? You need to maintain your different file structure, different files and folder structure. Like if you remember, if you start with our scenario, like for example, if I go back to our setting. Okay, so let's start with beginning. So what will happen? You going to have one index.html file, right? So you have to have one web app. You see, this is the something called web app, right? So this web app folder you need to going to create on your, this is a project folder, and create a new folder called web app. Okay, this web app will be so see what right now I'm creating one by one, but ideally if the services which might have been provided by vendor, I have to check that if that service would have been given you the list of that service, then probably those folder would have been come automatically with the help of template. So template having only one restriction is that you need to select a data source. So basically, there's some file called, if you might have seen in your Neo web ID UI5 application, Fiori application, there's something called neo.app.json file. There it used to maintain your destination name, data source name, all this thing, right? But when you are going to create a particular normal template by application, so that's why this file gets automatically generated. But when you are going to start with your scratch development, like for example, like right now what we are doing it here, so you can also start with this. This is also a good practice, not bad. That will give you at least the idea how the file folder structure is going to be created. Template will give you automatically those structure created. Here you have to create by your own, or you can here if you are given the option, right, external resource, add external resource, here UI5 application, you select that. Okay, if it's enabled, you can select all of them. Okay, something you can write external resource. So right now we are not using external resource, no need to that. We already having a UI5 application part, so it has been disabled. Now, so in this, now you have something called index.html file, right? So let's say create one index.html file under that, which is your index.html file. Okay, remember what we do in under index.html file? We do bootstrapping, right? Bootstrapping means what? Bootstrapping stands for like your declaration of your libraries. Okay, your whatever we discuss about, right? It makes sure whatever library you have defined, it is going to load it back, right? So you can see one more thing. There is no harm of, not even harm, but SAP UI5 practice is that you can always go through the sample section. Like you have, let's say I have used the sample section, all right? So what they are suggesting is you can speedize your speed. What you can do, whatever control you want to use it, they are given this code snippet, right? So what you can do, you copy the code, whatever is available. Let's say I have let's say I am taking very simple example of button, right? So let's say I have a button example. I need to make sure why I have to use a button. So these are the button, right? Default, accept, reject. So I will go to the code in my index file, in my view file. I will see the button declaration, right? So what I will do, I will copy this part and I will put it here, and I will change the text. I will change the maybe the coloring, or whichever is not required, I will remove it. So you can always welcome to use, understand it, and copy it, put in your file, and modify. A controller maybe you may skip, or of course you also can take a reference, like when you click how events has been written, right? You see on a click event of on press event of this button, this is the logic has been written, right? Then if you're clicking it, what will happen? So this is the part you need to make sure you can understand from the controller. You can copy it, you can put in your file, and you can write coding. There is no harm in it, okay, as long as you are understanding what you are doing it. So no blind copying. You should do it. You copy your, like, see right now I'm doing it and I am putting it here. So my bootstrapping part, which I am doing it right now, which I am making it sure which is available, and I can give some name changing. Like suppose I have resource root, I can say here I can give some name, like I can give SAP or Fiori, or go SAP dot okay, or com dot, okay, let's see, com dot Fiori dot ZaranTech. What will happen?
Yeah, hello, Manu.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. Actually, I'm not able to see that new project creation part.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Go to the home page.
It is always coming as template.
No. So, okay, 1 minute. So let me relaunch it.
Shall I share my screen?
Share your screen. That's really better.
Yeah.
Delete it and create it once again for me also. That happened.
delete करना अच्छा देखो so
Yeah, it's like this only.
no click close this part project from template close this here close this click on here like I mean open here the folder this
Yeah.
you open editors or you can create here create project you see here bottom
Yeah.
Click.
But it project from
okay, no
template.
problem. Okay, close this. Refresh now. Just refresh it.
It's coming like this.
1 minute. So okay, please this now. Project from template also click in. Close it. Go to this view section. Click on view. Command palette. Command palette. Here you write here Fiori. Right here Fiori project. Fiori. Fiori. Okay, 1 minute. Let me
Enter.
1 minute. I will show you. Okay, so what you can do now, you can go to your this cockpit and launch from there, and then freshly go to you close this because generally it comes from when you launch, but yeah, from the command period also you can find out, but it also redirect to your template, but nobody you launch from here now. Yeah, but let it be. Let it come, get started part. Let it load. Anybody else is facing the same or only you are facing? Now you see here.
I faced the same, so I deleted it and created once again.
Okay. Now you click on yeah. Now you can give your name of project in the small letter. Anything you as you wish, like Fiori UI5 training, something like that.
So it should be always in a small letter, right?
Yeah, because it's going to be your module name. That's the reason it's always be a small.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then enter.
Click enter.
After this, what should we do?
Now you click on the Fiori first demo, right click, create a new folder. New folder, second option. Yeah. Name it as a web app. Small. Everything.
Yeah.
Web app. Hit enter. Okay. Again, right click on web app. Click on
New folder.
New
file.
file.
New file.
Yeah.
File. Write
Index.html.
index.html. Okay, and everyone open this SAP UI5 SDK, because I told you your SDK is your Bible. So we will be referring the content from there. That I will be explaining you how it works, and this is how you have to take the reference of code and try to
Enter.
understand that.
Jyoti, enter.
Enter, just enter. Now click on index.html file. Okay, go to your API, go to your this API reference one. Click on documentation. Okay, go to your developing here, getting started here, get started. Expand this left side, third option. Left side, third option, you expand that. Quick start tutorial, no, from here. All right, ready. Click on ready. Yeah. Okay, so again, I think you can leave this. Maybe I think we are in the walkthrough section. Yeah, so
Go down.
Click on ready section. Mein bottom you can come back. You will see something called index.html5. Did you able to find out?
Index.js.
.html, not JS. Copy this. You can copy from icon also right on corner. Yeah, paste it here. Good. Now you can change this quick start name as the name. Okay, so guys, I see either you keep it same as I'm maintaining it, or if you are not, then please make sure that you are using it rightly. Otherwise it could be misconfusion with all of us. Okay, so what I have maintained here is com.fiori.zaran.tcs. So let's try to maintain this as your common namespace. Okay, so let me share my screen now. Okay, so this is going to be your namespace. Okay, so that you try to put it there. Okay, here in this section. All right, so this will be your now index.html5 page. All right, it's a very basic, it's a very simple HTML5 view what we're showing it, but it's not actually. What we are doing the very first step, we are bootstrapping. Bootstrapping stands for, okay, so here you can also give the name here, SAP Fiori UI5 tutorial. Okay, something like that, or training. Okay. All right, now so remember what is the first step we did here? Okay, so first step is this is your this is your project module name. Okay, not even a project name. Project name is like something when you are deploying it from the bash. That's the actually the fundamental. Like when you are deploying, at that time whatever name you will pass now, that will become your project name. But right now this is a module name which will be referred in your index.html file whenever you are going to going to put that reference to your uniquely identified along with your namespace. This is called namespace, resource root, and general technical name is namespace. So you will be always going to refer namespace dot your module name dot any file path. Okay, like that. All right, so this is the bootstrapping we have done. Now, so in the development web, you create a folder. We did that already. You create indexes file. You did that already and paste the code. Okay, so all the till here, anyone having any issue? No, right?
Manu, just go to the index.html file once. I just wanted to understand one thing. Just go to the file that you have created. You have changed the name, right? Quick start to SAP something. So in the on init data in the 11th line, if you see, do we need to change the module here also? Quick start hashtag index here also we need to change the name.
This is okay. This is a path, right? Okay, generally, okay. This will be changing here. Yes, you're right. I mean, it
it will change automatically maximum of the time for all those things, because in the Eclipse also, wherever we have used that quick start, it will replace that thing.
So even you don't need here, basically you can remove it. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically this slicing path now, it will be automatically calculated. Basically this on in it, we will be not doing it here. We will be doing
Yes.
under your with the help of component.js files. Okay, so I'm just
Yes.
explaining you the file folder, don't worry. Okay, all right. So now you see there's the index.js file. Okay, again in JS file, see this is a very simple hello world is that, okay, it's going to just run as a normal application and it will be just going to throw you that hello world things. Okay, but what will happen if I am going to put that? Okay, so again I will just create one index.js file here, let's say, and another file which is conduct.js file. So don't worry guys, this is just a beginning. I am putting it very basic things here, which typically we are not going to use in your Fiori UI5 development, but it's good to have understanding of how the file and controller, the view works together. Okay, so again, if you see here in our index.js file, what is happening here? If you see here, we are using sap.m library, we are defining it. Okay, you define what? We define a library which is called SAP M button. We are defining the M library of button control, M message toast control from the M library. And see, this is the typical configuration. Okay, so basically how you can write. Okay, so let's say we are doing it scratch coding, so sap.ui.define. Okay, in that define section, may you do parenthesis and then array of your objects. What this array of objects contains? Your library, right? Because you have more things, that's why you are putting in the library section. And then on top of it, you are writing a return function. Return function means like when this controller will execute, what is going to return, whatever logic you write here. Okay, that's why in that function you are going to put back whatever as a parameter you're going to pass. You are passing what parameter? You are going to pass your controls as a parameter, means as a reference. Okay, so this button, whatever control you define, you make sure you pass into this return function as a parameter, so that whatever you're writing now is actually you are writing actually inside a function return. Okay, so once this execution happen for this file, this function return will give you the desired, basically the output. I mean, say that it will execute all the entire process and it will return back to the view or any controller what you are referring it. Okay, now understood, right? What the reference here? So you define first under the array of with the array of controls, then you write a return function with comma and pass on the all the controls. Okay, and then you see this is something called use strict. Use strict, what does it mean? This is having a very significant role here. Okay, so whenever you say use strict now, it means you are going to perform some operation under this particular file along with the JS coding. Make sure your JS coding is up to date with respect to the guidelines provided by ECMAScript. Something ECMA is the one of the organization who manage this open source organization who develop and manage JavaScript. Okay, so use a strict, make sure that you whenever you are writing something, it will try to highlight, hey, something is wrong. Okay, something is wrong in your code, you fix it. Okay, if you are writing, let's say you have comma, you have left, let's say you have not declared a variable but you are trying to use it, right? So these things, these use strict will make sure that any runtime error should be notified before it runs. Actually means when you're coding also, that time only it will notify you. If you are still trying to run that file, it will not execute, rather it will throw an error with the notation that this particular line having this particular error. So you have to rectify that. So this kind of things is very much useful. That's why we use strict. So if somebody will ask you what is the use of use strict, so just to make sure that we align with the JavaScript coding guidelines to be aligned with respect to variable declaration function and all these standard module what has been defined to use for JavaScript. That's the reason of using use script. Now you see this is the new button. Now any one of you tell me, this is the new button, this declaration I am doing in my index.js file. What if I would have my XML file? right? So if I have my XML file, do I have to put this in my JS file also, or I can put in my XML file only?
In
Anyone?
XML file only.
Yes, that's great. Okay, so that's the reason we have generally called another folder called view. So under the view, we maintain our view file. Okay, okay, so not file, it should be as a folder. Okay, so today I'm explaining you about this structure and all, don't worry. And so under this, I will have another folder called view. View means it's going to have every view file. Okay, let's say under this now I'm creating a file called app.view.xml. Okay, so under this you will be having this, but let's say I want to just have a button, right? The button may, let's say, if you remember, I had this declaration, remember that point? So I can copy it, I can put it, but I will not put right now, but I will say here, let's say create another folder called, remember, if anybody, we have view, we have model, we have controller. Okay, so we're going to have a new folder called controller. That's it. Under this, whatever name you are given app.view.xml file, the same you make sure under the controller you are going to make a file with the same name of app.controller.js. Okay, like that. Okay, now whatever I have written here, right? Since if I have my app.view.xml file, this particular notation I don't have to declare, like new button, I don't have to write it. So remember, during the discussion I told you you can create a view with the help of JS file also, but that is going to be runtime, means like whenever this application runs, no, that time only this will start creating. But when you are writing in app.view.xml file, it will be always static. Matlab what? When the moment your bootstrapping and component.js file, manifest.json file has been, executed properly, then your view automatically put its content to your file. So for example, sorry, to the application view. For example, let's say I am copying all of them. Okay, see, this is how you are going to also do, but see how I am modifying it. Remember that. Okay, now see, always pattern start with MVC with view notation because you have view declaration and your library. This is going to be most common library. We are going to use it. These three to 100%. These three, make sure you should be there always. Now, what is my controller name? app.controller.js, right? But this has to come along with my controller name with the namespace. What namespace I have mentioned here? I have mentioned this namespace. Okay, so it will start with something like this. Okay, this is my namespace dot app. Okay, and then whatever I have mentioned here, we don't need to mention that. Okay, this is your typical, but in BTP, generally in your BTP web ID, we not may see this behavior, but on BTP on Bash, it actually append your what I'm saying, your module name. So it will also add up something like Fiori, SAP UI5 demo .app. This is how it's going to append your module name. Okay, something like that. This is your controller reference. So up to here is your namespace module name dot your app. Okay, so it is going to give your reference to whatever controller you are putting it here, and you understood, right? See how I have modified. Remember, right? Anyone, you understood this? How we have modified this? Any doubt here? This part I'm talking about, the reference I'm talking about. You see this under the button, right? We have a page.controller file, right? See page.controller file, right? So this page I'm referring back here, and this is my namespace. So this is what we are doing it here. So this is what we have done that here. So with the namespace, and I'm referring the name of app.js file. Okay, so this is my controller reference. Now this is my page. Page means whatever you see here, right? Whatever as a application you see here, this is the page. Whenever you run the application, this is the page. So this is the page part I'm going to write. So this is my title page. You want to remove some page or use something demo or something, you can give some name. This is the CSS class which defined by SAP itself, but we are, I mean, this is the standard. I told you, right? There are some standard CSS class provided by SAP itself. If it's matching your criteria, well and good. If it's not, then you can create a custom one class, CSS class, and put it here. Okay. Now I will not go all this custom. These are different. Of course, we have different kind of controls we have available. We are not going to talk much on that, right? We will come back one by one. So now every page. Okay. So before, okay, one more thing I will just tell you right now only. Every page come with some kind of custom header. This is the one of the property. How you will find out now? So if you go back to your API reference and search it, sap.m.page. All right. So sap.m.page, you will find various properties here. You see that properties, right? You will see background design, content, folding, icon, nav button. All these things are already available. See, you have a title, alignment, all these things. So whatever you are mentioning here, like I have mentioned a custom header, right? So custom header comes as a part of their kind of aggregation. Remember, I told you something, it can be combined together, right? So it has a custom header. So this is the custom header, I can be combined together. That's why custom header has been declared here. Means page along with the custom header can be work. Now, if you go inside the custom header, it can have like bar, means toolbar, right? What is toolbar here? Again, toolbar is like a control which helps you to align your buttons, like any control basically. Like if you see this part, which I was giving you example of. Okay, let me here. Is it button here? Okay. UTON. Right. What you see here is button, right? These default, accept, reject. See, it's all in one line, right? So this toolbar, make sure this is what we are making it like button type is back. Okay, so this is the part of custom header. Okay, so remember this is the custom header. We are talking about this part. Okay, this part. So that's why the reason, if you see here, it's mentioned here, the mention is back, then title, some icon of text. So you will find all these information. See back button icon here, the title in the center, and the edit button, right? So this is the one of the toolbar, okay, which helps you to align the controls. Toolbar, a spacer is something which give you a space between those two, I mean two content. Like say this is the space has been provided to the between the edit button and the title. So that's the reason we use toolbar as spacer. Okay, like that. This is the icon for button, the same thing. So understood what toolbar does, what custom header means to that. Similar way, if you have custom header, you have a subheader. Subheader means again that toolbar. Toolbar again, what it does, all the three buttons is going to be aligned in a single horizontal line. So this is going to be aligned in a single horizontal line. So that's the reason we maintain this. This is one of the control to align your controls. Basically this is used for only for buttons largely. And if you want to put some space before and after, you have to just put this toolbar spacer. When you put the toolbar spacer, it will make sure that there's some gap before, in between, or wherever it can be applicable. It will provide you some gap. So that's why name is a spacer, means toolbar it will create some space between the controls. Okay, now every page having some content, right? So I like if I have shown you, for example, one more thing. Okay, I think we are exceeding the time, but just a minute, I will finish it. Pick it up. So we have sap.m.page. Okay, so if you see this part here in a property, right? So you will see the various information available, like page may. What are the information can be? You can be seen title, element, title, label. So this is where you can see, and then it has a content. So content again, you see where you can find out what are the aggregation it can happen, right? So these are the see here. Content is another aggregation, right? Custom header content, right? Footer, header content. These are the aggregation, means it can work together. So there we have declare as a content header, right? And again, this is another thing we will talk about. And then under that content, I have some buttons and all, the different types of button you want to keep it, if I want to keep only one button here, I will go and remove all of them. No need to put all of them. I need only one button, so I will put only one button. I may not need this all labels and footers and all, then I don't leave it. I will remove it. Okay, so as per your requirement, you make use of the SDK code. Okay, put it back here so that it will save your time, right? Remember, see, nowadays what we have, AI, right? We have AI which is helping in different segment and work. So what AI does, it will just simplify your job. Like you, instead of writing, see, just imagine I have to write this all everything by one by line, right? I don't. It takes more time, right, for development. So it's you, as long as understanding what this toolbar is doing it, what button is doing it, right? What is the meaning of this H box? What is the meaning of this layout? Then it's nothing. You have to go take the reference from it. This is where the SDK has came to the picture. They gave you documentation where you can find detailed information. API has given information to find the different event methods, events available for a particular control. Sample is the place which they have gave you, right? See, these are various sample they gave you so that you can make use of it. Rather, you code by your hands, copy it, put in your file, modify as your need. Okay, but what advantage? You don't have to write this part. You don't have to write button. You don't have to close again. You don't have to, what basically you have to change this. What could be the text? What could be the text? You want to put some different event name. That event name can be changed. That is something you can modify. That's it. So make use of your SDK, put the required code into this file, and then write the logic in your controller file, which we will start from here from today, tomorrow. Okay, and then we will see how we are going to, we will have different, again, another folder. Like once we have controller, we will start view. Then next HTML5 we have done bootstrapping. Then we will create another folder called component.js file. Then we will have manifest.json file. So every file what we have discussed, we are going to do a step by step and performing. So basically this part is not so useful for you right now. You can just a very basic start part, but for us it will start from here. Okay, so bootstrapping we have done. Now we have created some XML views, controllers, and all the parts. So we will be starting from here in full-fledged tomorrow programming, and trust me, it's going to be a long programmatic session. It's going to be for many days. Going to be a start topic wise. So it's just one of the process we will follow. Then we will have another big topic which will be coming up, like essential part, which will be talking about your navigation, by data binding, all these things. So be prepared, and trust me, this learning journey, if you want to make it interesting and very much useful for you, then please do follow this, which I have gave you the link. This SDK you definitely follow. Okay, then this, okay, fine, we can do in the time of, and then this JavaScript tutorial is very much important. It will help you to understand, because if you see here in the controller, let's say, right, they will write some logic, right? So in that controller logic, how you will be knowing ki something has happened, what will happen here, right? So right now this is just a normal. Okay, for example, here only you see, right, in that controller file, they mention something, right? So you need to understand how this works, like on press function, how you write. This is a very simple programming, but it will be keep increasing. So this all are a part of your JavaScript. So I will highly recommend, please go through, put some time to SDK and JavaScript. Start your journey, and with positive mindset. It will be going to be a long session going forward, and let's try to make something good and get some knowledge here, and try to make yourself. If you are a web backend, you will be a full stack developer, right? So effort has to be put, right? Anything you're learning, you need to put that effort. So that's it for today. I think we have exceeded few more minutes, but that's okay. No problem. Any questions so far? We are yet to start with full-fledged topic-wise in development. Probably today what we have covered is more of understanding of basic components of UI5, And tomorrow it will be more in depth with the on-hand practice. Whenever we do some practice, please make sure you are also following the same. Yes, somebody has raised their hands. Tell me. Avinash.
Yeah, Manu. Actually, in the controller part, can you share your screen?
Okay. In our or the SDK part?
No, in our.
In our part, maybe controller I think I have not put right now anything, but yeah, I will. I mean, it's the same thing I can show you here. Let's say we can put this.
Sorry, you can open view.
No problem. Some view. Okay, okay.
So in that naming part, controller naming.
Yeah.
So this is the controller name and this is project name and dot app. This is the default or
app is this.
Okay, whatever name we can
name
give.
you give ABC. You have to give ABC.
Okay.
Whatever name you give, right? So generally, in web ID may you generally what you put here na this namespace, it comes to you as a that namespace dot view name, but in Bash it comes along with this and then plus. But see, for example, let's say it will not break. It will be, I think it will be the same. Okay, so in that case, right now we don't. But if you use the template, what it does, it will also module name. It will automatically take it back. So I mean, I will show you template part also tomorrow. How so whatever name you put in namespace available in Index.html file. Since I am doing a scratch, right? So I can override. I can override. The idea was putting here because when you use the template now, it will append your namespace along with the name of your module name. That's the reason. Remember, if you're putting something project name, it will asking you put in a small letter, right? Because the reason of being it's getting referred along with your namespace. It happens only in Bash. It's not doesn't happen in your web ID. So it will also happen only when you use the template. But if I'm using a scratch, it's that's why I just make sure you should be aligned with like template and it should not have different. So that's the reason I put that. But in general, this is your actual namespace notation. This is the path actually. Okay, your unique path. And then you are putting any file name. You put ABC or any file, n number of file, n number of view file. You just have to put your path with the file first name what you have maintained. That's it.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone? Any other question?
Yeah, hi Manu.
Yeah, tell me.
So just wanted to talk about the bootstrapping part. So you told that bootstrapping will happen at the index.html file, right?
You declare that, yeah.
Yeah, in the case of like when we are running the application from the launchpad, the index file will not be there. In that case, what will happen?
No, so your component.js file, see, in the I have not shown you here, but in index file, I told you, that's why I told you, right? In index file itself, we are giving a declaration of component.js file. So though your index.js file is not available and not running there in that file, but that bootstrapping means index.js file having a reference of your component declaration happen in your component index.js file only, the component declaration part. So whenever bootstrapping happens, after just before bootstrapping, it once it's finished, it will just jump back to component.js file. So when component.js file is running, it's already has been bootstrapped and linked to your component.js file declaration. It will start from there.
Okay.
So what I
even
mean
though so even though the index file will not run, but it will still take the reference from there.
I will show you here itself. Like you see here, right, in our index file, this is not completed one. Here we will create where we will be, you see there one on init function was there, right? Something. So there is a one on init will define with the component.js file, and how it looks like I will show you that. Don't worry here. Let me show you where it is component configuration. Okay. .js file, here we have You see, this is your declaration. Okay. So component.container may like index.js file or under HTML file only. I mean, this is a JS file here, but in like similar way, like see, this is a JS file reference, don't worry. But in index.html file only, we declare our component file. Okay, so though your index.html file not hit, but it has the reference of your component.js file, and then component.js file get the reference to your app descriptor, which is your manifest.json file here, and then it will run your application. So understood now. So index.html file having a declaration of bootstrapping and reference of your component.js file, both.
Okay. But in case of like when you are running from Launchpad, that how it will get the that part from index file, because as like from Launchpad index file will not be running, right?
It will not be running. So that's what I'm saying. Index component.js file will be taken care of those configuration when you are running from the Launchpad. So Launchpad is like act as a container of your Fiori app. Okay, so whenever any application we are running on Launchpad, now it will always have all these setup, right? I mean, for example, when you are running a Fiori apps, what are the things is needs to be available, right, for a Fiori apps to run on the Launchpad, like bootstrapping of various libraries supported, right? So Launchpad will help you to identify all these bootstrapping stuff available to your Fiori application running on your Launchpad, and component.js will execute that accordingly. So though your index.js file is not there, so that part is getting taken care by your Launchpad settings, or Launchpad helps to bootstrapping your Fiori apps with the help of your component.js file. Okay, got the point?
Yes. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other question? Okay, so tomorrow anyway, I mean, like whenever we will start with the full fledged with all this, like I told you, we will be starting with something, okay, from here. I mean, basically we will be having, we already have few folder structure we explained, and now in folder structure we will be going to put all this information about that, right? So whatever the any question you have, it will be go on, okay, no worries. It will be, when the moment you will keep going ahead, it will be going to be basically clear enough, so no worry about that. Okay, so be it your component file, be it even if you deploy it, right, there's something called component.preload.js file. Okay, that is also something which is actually helpful to bundle all your file. Okay, so like you will not see even your view file, controller file, component, your manifest file, nothing you will see. Only you will see what component.preload.js file. Okay, component. So what is that? It will bundle out everything. Okay, so it will enhance your performance of your Fiori application. The similar way, though your, so that's what I'm saying. Fiori apps, when it runs on your Launchpad, so Launchpad itself is an application, is a container application which supports your Fiori apps. Like a question which Abhishek has asked, or sorry, the name, like how bootstrapping happens when it's not there, right? So these things actually getting taken care by your with the help of your Fiori Launchpad along with your component.js file. Okay, so all these initialization, bootstrapping, right? All the library, what is it make Launchpad make sure that the required library which is supported and required for your application or any application which is running on the Launchpad, that part is already taken care whenever the Launchpad itself load. So Launchpad, when it gets loaded, your app is actually ready with all this bootstrapping stuff. And then when you are running your particular app, your component.js will take care of your remaining activity. Okay, so that is the flow actually. Okay, but when you are running in a web application, then index.html file will be invoked. There it will first do the bootstrapping, and then your component.js file reference will be created. Okay, so there are two scenarios where SAP UI5, when you run as a web application, having a little bit one step different behavior. When you run from the Launchpad, so Fiori Launchpad will play a major role as a container. It provides all the basic structure, and your component.js file will be taken care next step from there. All right, so I think we are good for today. So I mean, we'll try to, of course, full-fledged from tomorrow. We are programming stuff and all these things. Everyone, whatever we discussed today, please go through the SDK. Please go through a little bit some time on your JavaScript side also. Especially go first SDK, try to see what are all the stuff we have, and then go back to your JavaScripting as well, and then it will be good to have understanding and your journey of programming of UI5 Fiori. All right then, anyone, all good? So shall we close the call today, or any other question?
All good.
Okay, so thank you everyone, thanks for joining. Let's meet tomorrow with full-fledged. We'll start beginning from the programming itself. So let's come with some preparation, and I hope we only meet tomorrow. Okay, chalo, see you, bye bye.
Thank you, Manu.
Yeah, thank you, Manu.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for attending the session. I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, feel free to ask your questions in the comment section below, and we will reply to them at the earliest.